Oh, yes. That's right. It's Wednesday. You know what that means. We are live. We are back in action as free agency gets going. 3rd and 3 starts flowing. We get the news with the players on the move as they now get to choose where they win and where they lose. The do's, the don'ts, the can'ts and won'ts, the highs, the lows. It's how it goes being a player in the pros. Welcome back to another live edition of the 3rd and 3 podcast, proudly presented by the Sports Column, along with 3rd and 3podcast.com. Get on over to the website. We have begun to march into the madness, 3rd and 3 style. So everyone who joined will get weekly shout outs and updates live here on the show. Speaking of the show, let's get it going. Ladies first, the dazzling, dynamic, dependable, dangerous, wide receiver diva, tricky Nikki Gist. What is happening?
Oh, I like that. What am I this week? Dazzling and dynamic and,
yes.
Again, need you to loop. Like, I need you to record this for me and then loop it so you could be like my hype.
Got a little feedback over there, but that's okay. Things happen. I hyped it up. The feedback goes crazy. Who knows where it came from? Maybe it came from free agency. Who knows, D? Our jaunty, jubilant, jazzy, jesting head coach, the real deal, Damian Adams. What's up?
Thank you again, man. Always appreciate the intros. Man, you are a wizard with words. So I'm just so glad to have you doing the intros for us, man. Making me look good, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, I try, my friend, even though that feedback didn't sound so good, but we'll get through it. My name, Jason Fearman, the Sports Prophet, and it is my honor to introduce this week's special guest. He's more than a football writer. He's a true historian of the game. The man has been covering the NFL before many of you could probably speak. He's the founder of Pro Football Guru at profootballguru.com and affiliated with Fansided NFL, NFL Spin, Full Press NFL, PFG Vibes, so many more. I can't even begin to tell you because everybody wants this man to work with him or work for him. It is the great Russell Baxter. Russell, the Guru, thank you for breaking out some time for us today, my friend. How are you?
Well, thank you for that long intro. Is the show over? Is there any time to talk about football?
Right? That's it. I think we're ready to go, man. But you deserve it. If anybody does, it's you. And we were joking off air. It's been a long time since we spoke. So I am so glad. If you remember back in the day with LA Broadus, we had great times. And you always brought the knowledge. So it's been so long, but I'm really, really glad you're here. It's great.
Well, it's good to be. It's nice to meet some people I've never met. And knowing that 5 more squares and with Alice in the middle, and we'd have the Brady Bunch. And so, but I mean, this is fun now. This is, be able to do, I've done some on-air stuff. Now this is kind of more on-air, the modern version. So
now we're talking. There you go. Right. It's what it's all about. Seeing our faces, right? Just not our voices now. And, with so many good-looking people over here, we have to show them, obviously. I mean, come on. So let's get it going. Let's do it. He said it. It's football time. Ready to rock and roll. It's the Hustle or Russell. And it is brought to you by Meatworks. You like steak? Me too. If you don't, you're either a vegetarian or you have no teeth. Meatworks has the highest quality meat cut products by American farmers. Other than a fiery flavor, the best part about Meatworks is that you can go online and customize your own box or choose one of their curated boxes and save 10 to 20% on Prime USDA beef, baby. Hey, sometimes we get lazy, but it's okay. We're hungry. Shipping is free. You don't got to go to the grocery store. Just bring your meat-loving lips over to the 3rd and 3podcast.com and get your meaty discount online and delivered to your home by Meatworks. So there you go. Here we go. The Hustle is Russell, presented by Meatworks. And Nikki, we are ready to go. Fans, jump on in there. If you got a question, we'll try to get it up for you. Let's rock.
All right. So, Russell, thank you so much for coming on. I know we have never met, but I did go on your Twitter, and I like you already because not only are you hysterical, we share the same birthday. So I feel
are you kidding
cosmic. Yes. Shout out to the September 3rd babies out there. So
let me just say something to interrupt you.
Go ahead.
You look fantastic for being 62 years old.
Oh, don't I?
You mean the same date. Oh, you mean September 3rd. You didn't mean the 1959 part, huh?
Same date.
Yeah. Oh, isn't it? It's a Virgo thing.
It is
Isn't
a
it? And
Virgo
it's
thing.
always been fun for me because it was almost like it was meant to be. At one time, September 3rd was just about the time the football season started.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it was kind of like, that's about right. So, but
Right?
well,
Perfect.
belated happy birthday for the last 61 years that I've missed. So
My favorite is when my birthday falls on Labor Day, and then my birthday is a national holiday.
See, there you go. Perfect.
There you go.
Perfect. Well deserving.
So I'm going to kick it off with a Homer question. I am a huge Giants fan. I think this year they might be getting it right. I know they just signed Tyrod Taylor. I am happy about that. He's not a loser, so I'm happy about that. But I want to know, so they've got the 5th, 7th overall picks this year in the draft. What are you thinking? You think they need to go offensive line? You think they go pass rush here? I know they did sign some guys to kind of get that offensive line together, so that frees them up a little bit. But any thoughts on, help a desperate Giants fan here with a little light of hope?
Well, listen, Saquon Barkley's had to deal with injuries the last couple of years. He was the offensive rookie of the year a few years ago. Daniel Jones looked like was progressing in terms of ball security. A lot of times I see statistics out there where you touchdown to interception ratio and differential and stuff like that. And people, for some odd reason, forget that a fumble is a turnover. And I think that's been a bigger problem for Daniel Jones. Now, he looked like he was turning the corner there as well, but I lean the offensive line. You don't get anything done in this league without an offensive line. And I've heard people say, well, look, the Bengals got to the Super Bowl and didn't have a good offensive line. The Bengals didn't win the Super Bowl because Von Miller and Aaron Donald spent more time in the backfield in the second half than Joe Burrow did. Okay. So you've got to have some, and look what Cincinnati's doing in free agency. They get some veteran, some big bodies in and so on. So, when Gettleman was there, he put a lot of money into Nate Solder. He won't be back. Will Hernandez has been up and down. He's unrestricted free agent. They need help there. Yeah. And you've got an offensive guy in Brian Dable. Joe Sheen is the new general manager. They're going to kind of, I think, build in the image of the new look Bills. Although it's if you remember Josh Allen's first year there, Josh Allen ran for a lot of yards, Nikki, but he was running for his life, not out of design. And they retooled the offensive line. And I wish they ran the ball a little better. Now I think they rely on Josh Allen to run the ball too much. He's more their best running, even though Singletary led the team in rushing. And I'm not saying you don't take advantage of that, but Josh Allen, I think, surprised a lot of people with his running ability as well. But and listen, we've seen Daniel Jones make some long runs in the league too, and unless he forgot to tie his shoe in Philadelphia, I think it was, and just fell on the turf. But I think he's still better athlete than he is a quarterback. But I think that can change. And listen, it doesn't take that long anymore in this league to turn things around. If you look in like the NFC alone, these, in recent years, or even in the league overall, it's seemingly almost every year there's a team that had a losing season the year before and wound up in the Super Bowl. Okay. Cincinnati did it this year. Tampa Bay did it the year before that. Philadelphia was a last place team, and then a year later they won the Super Bowl. In fact, the Bengals, Eagles, and 49ers were all last place teams in 2020 and all wound up in the playoffs. That's how crazy this league is. That's why what New England did and what Kansas City's doing is such an anomaly. So there's no real juggernaut in the NFC East. I will say that. But the Giants, I mean, by the end of the year, I had them, I do power rankings for Fansided, and I had them, I think, 35th. So you're supposed to laugh. There's only 32 teams.
Nick, 32 teams. I was waiting for Nikki. Is she gonna be like, "Oh man, my Giants"?
No, I know there's only what are you talking?
And here's the thing that was really surprising last year, to be honest with you. I was stunned at how the defense completely fell apart the year after showing so much progress. I mean, their secondary in 2020 with Jabril Peppers and Logan Ryan and James Bradbury, they were the catalyst of that team, overcome that 0-5 start. I know they finished 6-10, but they played respectable football the rest of the year. So to answer the question you asked me, I think about 20 minutes ago, because I'm long-winded, I would go offensive line. Set a foundation there. You've got an offensive coach. And who knows what's going to happen in free. There's an awful lot of players out there yet. I mean, we really officially just started free agency 3 hours ago. Again, offensive line, they have not had a good offensive line in quite a few years, to be honest with you.
Yeah, like 8, 9.
40. So
a long time.
It has been a long time. It has been a long time. And the offensive line, you look at some recent Super Bowl champions. And Tampa Bay retooled their offensive line when Tom Brady came. The year before, Kansas City has always had a good offensive line. Then we saw their offensive line devastated by injuries in the Super Bowl the second year with Eric Fisher and Mitchell Schwartz, and they couldn't score a touchdown against Tampa Bay. Nick Foles and the Eagles, when they beat the Patriots in Super Bowl 52, that was definitely offensive line. And that's not to knock Nick Foles or anything like that. Jason, one of my favorite stats in Super Bowl 52, for as much as the Philly special and Nick Foles and Derek Barnett and all that stuff, they put 164 yards on the ground against Bill Belichick's defense.
Yep.
That's kind of like almost, because there was so much else that went on in that game. It was Jay Ajayi and Corey Clement and LeGarrette Blount, just bam, 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 bam. New England couldn't stop them. So offensive line, it's the way you got to go, okay? And that not is just to pass blocking, that's the run blocking, okay? As much passing as we see in this league these days, you got to be able to somehow run the football and do it consistently. You got to keep teams off balance. You got to be... to completely abandon the running game just leads you to disaster, as far as I'm concerned. There's a reason that no quarterback in the history of the Super Bowl era has ever led the league in passing yards and won the Super Bowl the same year.
That's a great stat. That's a great
56
stat.
years. That's not 20 years. That's 56 years.
Right.
And that goes back to the AFL and the NFL when, the first 4 Super Bowls, in which, what I did is I went back and calculated which player, be it what league, had more passing yards. It could have been an AFL, NFL. It still holds up. I mean, Tom Brady led the league in passing yards this past year. Before that was Deshaun Watson, no playoffs. Before that, Jameis Winston, no playoffs. But,
very interesting.
But if you had them in your fantasy league, you probably had a good year.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, Damian, he's right on with the line of scrimmage. You know how I feel about that. That's where the ball is snapped. That's where the game is won and lost in the trenches for the most part. But so he's right on with that. Giants probably should go all line. Nikki agrees. But D, what do you got, man?
No, for sure. And I'm going to follow up Nikki's homework question with my own homework question. The Saints have somehow gotten under the cap. I don't know how we do it every year, but it's been announced that we have gotten under the cap. So do you see the Saints doing anything in this free agency period, any moves that can move the needle for the Saints next year, outside, of course, of being in the Deshaun Watson sweepstakes right now?
They didn't cut Emeril Lagasse, did they?
I don't believe so. Yeah, we didn't
Not
cut anybody on the current roster.
Okay. All right. Another dad joke. All right. So
yeah, the cook.
Wait, isn't he a chef?
Yeah, the chef. Bam. The chef,
yeah. He's a fullback. Bam. So,
Bam. I love it.
The Saints are, and listen, they've been dealing with cap issues for a while. Okay. And it's funny how you just get like cramming for your homework and somehow you manage to get it done. So they still, as of an hour ago had not gotten Teron Armstead re-signed, unless I missed something in the last hour. And he's a guy they can't afford to let get away. You know, the Saints reinvented themselves back in 2017 when they became more of a running team and less of Drew Brees throwing for 5,000 yards. All those 5,000-yard passing seasons don't really add up to a lot. I'm not sure what they're going to do because they are up against it. So I don't know if it's going to be a free agency year for them, but there's so many guys already floating out there that have been cut by their team, salary cap casualties, that, you know, like Bobby Wagner. We just saw Joe Schober get cut because the Steelers signed Miles Jack. And those are the guys that you can get. I think the Saints will probably wait a couple days like they usually do, or wait a couple weeks and, you know, sign some guys to 1-year contracts. As long as they keep their nucleus, they'll be okay. Listen, if they showed last year that there's, even without Drew Brees, and it's not like they haven't gotten used to playing without Drew Brees the last couple of years because he's had his injury woes, which was not something he ever had problems with, but as he got older, it happens. But I don't know if they're going to be a significant player, Damian. And listen, I know Brady's back, but Tampa's still got some guys they got to re-sign, like Ndamukong Suh. They get Godwin under contract. They just lost O.J. Howard, by the way, to the Bills. Although, you know, Cameron Brate's been in what's going to happen with Rob Gronkowski. Again, in this league, you know, it's such a streaky league in terms of, you know, the Saints were 5-2. And then all of a sudden, I think they were 5-7?
Yeah, we lost 5 in a row after that, yeah.
All right, 5-7. Then they won 4 of their last 5. They swept the Bucs. Okay, and it wasn't because of Drew Brees that they swept the Bucs. They swept the Bucs for the second straight year. Yeah. So that's a competitive football team, and because they are a pretty solid team in the trenches. I know that sounds crazy. Will they bring Jameis Winston back? You know, are they real players in the Deshaun Watson thing? Who knows how that's going to play out? Every team's doing their homework and so on. So I would say, at least for now, I think they're kind of going to be kind of in neutral in terms of free agency.
Yeah, that makes sense. Sure.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens to them for the first time in a while. Not just no Drew Brees, but no Sean Payton either. So, yeah, we'll see how things go. Yeah. But the hot topic now, all of a sudden, you know, is Deshaun Watson, so not indicted on criminal charges. He will play. He will likely get suspended. How many games? 6? I don't know, Russell. You know, you probably know better than me. But we'll see when things do come to fruition. So we got Atlanta, New Orleans, and Carolina all in the NFC South, which is not surprising. And I actually said a couple of weeks ago, Damian, I think that you heard, I thought that he'd be a great fit in Cleveland. Now, I don't know, Russell, if they're going to trade him to an AFC team, depending on what Cleveland gives back. But I hear that Cleveland is willing to give the most. So Deshaun Watson has to sign off on it because there's no trade clause. So Out of those 4 teams, unless there's a fifth, what do you think?
You know, Atlanta's kind of jumped in here at the last minute, and apparently there's a relationship going way back between Deshaun Watson and Arthur Blank. Right. And that would make it, you know, I could see that making sense because you could send Matt Ryan to Houston. And, you know, although they signed Kyle Allen today, I don't know if I'd read too much into that. Tyrod Taylor's gone. He's now the backup to Daniel Jones with the Giants. Right. You know, I see what Cleveland's doing. I also see, you know, I'm a little, it's like semi-disappointed in the way they've kind of handled this Baker Mayfield thing.
Yeah, you know, but that goes to show you, I guess, what they think of him, right?
Well, yeah, but you know, he also played last year hurt from like week 2 on. So, whose decision was it to keep trotting him out there? I guess is my point. And then all of a sudden, and listen, he's taken the high road so far. So I'm not sure what's going on there. I know they let Austin Hooper go.
Yes.
Yeah. And, you know, they seem to be
Robert Sainz is
gone. Clearing out cap room for a trade or whatever and so on. But, and I agree with you. I'd be curious to see if they would trade him within the conference. Now we know they weren't going to trade him in the division because I guess the Colts went poking around. They turned the Colts down. So, I mean, that would be Houston's biggest nightmare. They have trouble beating the Colts no matter what. much less putting him on the other side of the ball. So I'll be really curious. I think teams are still kind of feeling around about what's going to happen to him at the beginning of the year. Like maybe like in the Antonio Brown situation we saw a couple last year or 2 years ago. He was suspended, I think the first 8 games of the year. But, we also see, I think when Ben Roethlisberger got suspended back in 2010, I think he was suspended for 6 and then they knocked it down to 4. So, and I know people are, he was clear to this, clear to that, and so on. It's the league still looks at stuff like that as conduct detrimental. So, and that's something that Roger Goodell is very, very big on. And in case you're wondering, he's suspended, I think GMs, he suspended an owner, he suspended coaches. So it's not just a player thing and so on. He's not picking on the players. The shield is the shield. So it's hard to get a feel for, because this is one of those instances, Jason, where so much is going on behind the scenes, and so much of this was, kept very, very quiet for a long time too. It's hard to get a gauge on where every team stands. But I've always noticed that, you'll see teams who are like in the mix almost daily for a trade like this. And then all of a sudden someone jumps in late. And before you know it, they're the team that makes the trade. And, I'm wondering if Atlanta isn't that team in this instance, because we have seen, debated with New Orleans and debated with Cleveland and et cetera, et cetera. But I'm not sure. Like I said, I wish I could give you a better answer, but this is just like his whole season last year, where he was never suspended, but the Texans wouldn't play him.
Right.
It's a giant mystery, as is his, what's going on with him personally.
Yeah, you're 100% right. It is a mystery. I imagine the 49ers jumping at the last second. What an amazing thing that would be. You're right, but somebody could jump in at the last second. Yeah. We don't know. But yeah, right now we're hearing those 4 teams. But again, he has to, excuse me, again, waive his no trade clause and say, yes, I will go there. I don't know what's going to hold him back. We'll see. But yeah, that's very interesting. Definitely got a lot more to go. What's up to Nathan over there? You're talking about the Bills signing Von Miller. But Nikki, what do you got next?
Yeah, so Mitch Trubisky in Pittsburgh. I feel they should have addressed this quarterback situation probably 2 years ago. I think they're a little too late. But is the overall feel this is the stopgap guy until we find our guy? This is a little bit for some flexibility in the draft, or is Pittsburgh really looking at him as the next heir apparent here? Those are some big shoes to fill behind Big Ben. So,
yeah, there are. And, you've seen Ben deteriorate the last couple of years, and it really kind of started in 2019 with that elbow injury in week 2. And then he didn't play the rest of the year. And I think they kind of gutted it out. But this is a team that's been in salary cap hell. We talk about the Saints and the Packers and stuff. This is another team. And you saw them this year so far with a little money, and they have spent some money, but they didn't break the bank for Mitch Trubisky. So I think he is more of a stopgap than anything else. One thing is he can move. Okay. So which Ben has not been able to move the last couple of years. Ben was always great with his feet. Okay. Yes. His ability to just make things out of nothing, but he hasn't been able to do that. It was all these quick passes. Second off, they got a legitimate running back last year in Najee Harris, who squeezed out a lot of yards behind an offensive line that still wasn't very good, even though they changed just about everybody on it. So yeah, 2 years, $14 million, I think it is. That's a stopgap contract, and whether they feel that Mason Rudolph or Dwayne Haskins, can develop during training camp, or maybe they draft this year and listen, there's a feeling around the league that none of these quarterbacks that are coming out this year and are knocking anybody's socks off. Okay. It's more people looking forward to 2023. It's almost like, why don't we get somebody who knows what they're doing and maybe try to steal a playoff berth and maybe try to steal a Super Bowl champion, and then address quarterback next year when you have even more salary cap room. Remember the cap jumped dramatically this year because it went down the year before. So the cap is $208.2 million, which is obviously the highest it's ever been. Next year, there's talk it could be close to $230 million. So, and yet, and I get the feeling the Packers still might be over the cap if it's $230 million. But no, I think this is more of a stopgap. Okay, I think the Steelers are going to try and do what they did last year in terms of run the football, try and run it. Play good defense, although they were dead last in the league against the run.
I know.
And, hence some of the moves they've made defensively with veterans and so on, like the Miles Jack move and so on, and bringing Brian Flores in as a linebackers coach, which is a big ad for them and so on. But no, I think here's the thing that's interesting about Trubisky. When Ryan Pace drafted him, and you guys probably know college football better than I do, I think. The thing that was mysterious about them going up from 3 to 2 to get him in 2017 was that he was a developmental prospect. Okay. Later in the draft, Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes went. Those were guys who were consistent starters at their schools. If I remember the number, Mitch Trubisky started 12 games at North Carolina.
Right.
So he's still learning how to play quarterback. And yet he jumped into the fray, and we saw him as a rookie, and he threw many touchdown passes and interceptions. And then the second year, he was better, but he did a lot with his feet. It was also better that they got Khalil Mack in the defense, and they were 12-4 and so on. So I don't think he really ever developed. And it's slowly, but now he's been in the league for a little bit. Now he just spent a year with the Bills, which I think is, probably helped them. We've seen what their staff has done for Josh Allen. So now I think he comes to Pittsburgh more looking like a quarterback than a prospect. Okay. They added a center and a guard. James Daniels is a great pickup from the Bears. He can play anywhere in the interior. Yep. Okay. So they like Dan Moore, who they drafted last year, I think out of A&M at left tackle. They still have some work to do there. The thing that's important about the running game is persistency. And, we didn't see that with Randy Fichtner, and we didn't, really see it all that much with Matt Canada last year, even though they were better. I mean, Najee Harris touched the ball a lot. Amazing. Najee Harris did not fumble during the regular season, despite how many times he touched the ball. He had the fumble in the playoff game against Kansas City, his only fumble of the year. So there's some promise of Freiermuth, by the way, the tight end, who's a blocker and a receiver. So for all the passing in the league, I guess this is my point. There's going to be 2 or 3 teams in this league that are going to try to play old school football. And I think Pittsburgh is going to be one of them again.
Well, that's their MO pretty much. And D, I'm going to throw it to you right now, but just to piggyback off of what Russell said. Yeah, I'm thinking that Pittsburgh did this move for a couple of reasons. One, they don't love a quarterback in this draft, like you were mentioning before.
Right.
And they do see Trubisky as somebody who can maybe develop. Look, he's been dealing with different offensive coordinators since he's got there and different coaches and so on and so forth. But he did go to the playoffs a couple of years with the Bears. Yeah, mostly on defense, like you said, Russell. Right. But I'm kind of looking forward to seeing him getting a shot and seeing what happens. And I think that maybe he's found the spot.
The one thing I know, when I saw him play last year for the Bills, in particular, I think there was a preseason game against Green Bay. Again, it's preseason. He looked comfortable. And when he was with the Bears, he never really looked comfortable. Okay? For the Bears, any of the Bears quarterbacks for about 3 or 4 years didn't look comfortable. Even Nick Foles, even as experienced as he was and so on. So, but that comes with reps. I mean, it was like, Jimmy Garoppolo early in his career, and all of a sudden he's a starter, and he throws a lot of interceptions, he turns over the football, and then you go back and realize that he barely saw the field his first 2 years in the league.
True. And
then he got a chance to start when Brady got suspended in 2016, and his season, I think, lasted 6 quarters before he got hurt.
That's right.
Okay. And then he hurt his knee in 2018 after he got traded to the Niners and so on. So Jimmy G is another guy who, in order to get better, you got to play. So Trubisky didn't play a lot in college. Jimmy G didn't play a lot early in his NFL career. And it's funny, the one year they got to the Super Bowl was the one year he started all 16 games.
That's pretty well said. Hard to argue with him, D.
No, it is. And you mentioned old school football. One team that definitely did that last year was the Indianapolis Colts.
Yep.
And right now they're in a transition period. You get rid of Carson Wentz. Where do you see them going? You mentioned Jimmy G. Is that the direction they go in as far as quarterback, or is there another direction they may go in?
Well, listen, this is business as usual for Chris Ballard. Chris Ballard became the GM in 2017. He will be 6 for 6 in terms of his week 1 starting quarterback being different. Okay. Not all his fault. But Luck, I think, was hurt. And Scott Tolzien in 2017, Luck in 18, Jacoby Brissett in 19, Phillip Rivers in 20, Carson Wentz in 21.
Wow.
Johnny Unitas in 2022. I don't know.
Right?
Okay. So, and it's funny because he's such, listen, and I was talking with earlier today or messaging back and forth, my writing partner, Julie Voigt from PFG Vibe. You know what? He's always done a good job is drafting and taking care of those draft picks. You know, I mean, to get Quentin Nelson and Darius Leonard in the same draft is pretty damn good. So, but they, for whatever reason, they can't seem to secure the quarterback spot. Now, last year, Carson Wentz cut back on the turnovers. I get all that. Jonathan Taylor led the league in rushing. Could have made a good case for him being MVP, as a matter of fact. And with their offensive line, not what it was in previous years, you know, because of injuries and retirements and so on. Quentin Nelson met some time. He changed the whole mentality of that team. But, yeah, they have a void, Damien, at quarterback right now. I'm not sure what they're going to do. I mean, I was kidding around with Julia. Well, it makes sense if Baker Mayfield went there because the Colts have had their share of first overall quarterbacks, and some of them have played for the team and some of them haven't, you know? So, I mean, John Elway didn't want to play for the Colts while they were still in Baltimore. Yeah, but Peyton Manning wanted to play for the Colts, and Andrew Luck did want to play for the Colts. So, go all the way back to Bubba Smith, but that's a police academy.
Oh, man,
but,
they made a lot of those
I'm not sure what they're going to do. They made a trade today, then Ngakoue, because the Raiders brought in Chandler Jones and Rock Ya-Sin, though, cornerback who they liked a lot, off to Las Vegas and so on. So their defense, as good as it was last year, was a little inconsistent. And Darius Leonard is a machine. Kenny Moore is underrated as a cornerback. DeForest Buckner was a great trade they made a couple years ago from the Niners, but they were up and down. And remember now, they will have a new defensive coordinator, Gus Bradley, because Matt Eberflus is the new head coach of the Chicago Bears.
It's very interesting. That's right. Yep. I was big on the Colts last year for a while, but then Carson Wentz last couple of games, whatever. Very interesting. That team is so well built already that I think that I'm surprised that they haven't found a quarterback yet or didn't have a backup plan. Maybe they like somebody in the draft, but let me go to another team in their division, Russell, and that's the Jacksonville Jaguars, who I've been on now for a lot of weeks saying, look, they're going to have a lot of money. They got the number 1 pick again, so on and so forth. So we know they brought in Christian Kirk, Zay Jones, Brandon Scherf, I like at guard, Evan Ingram, which Nicky is probably thrilled he's had in New York, but okay. Foye Oluokun, and Cam Robinson they tagged again. So, and they still have money to bring in. Let's see who they draft, whether it's Evan Neal, maybe they go with Aiden Hutchinson out of Michigan. But I see this team in the next 2 years as being a contender if Trevor Lawrence really is that number 1 guy. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, listen, he had trouble with ball security last year, and again, you got to go with the fumble. You got to add in the fumbles along with the interceptions and so on. But I mean, who knows what was going on behind the scenes there with Urban Meyer, who didn't even make it through the year, and Darrell Bevel, and now here comes Doug Peterson, and you know, I like the Scherf and the Ingram pickups because these are 2 guys that Doug Peterson are familiar with during his days with the Eagles. Scherf changes a lot. I know he's, first 2 years in the league, he didn't miss a start. The last, was it 5 now? He's missed time. Yet he's still He's been named to the Pro Bowl 5 times. Okay, it's 5 or 6 times, as a matter of fact, all pro back in 2020. So he's one of those road grader guys, and they need that. They need to protect Trevor Lawrence, who I think tried to do too many things last year, and understandably so. I mean, this team has been. It's almost hard to believe that 5 years ago they were up by 10 points in Foxborough with a chance to go to the Super Bowl.
Right, with Blake Bortles.
How's this for a stat? That year they were 10-6. They beat Buffalo and Pittsburgh in the playoffs and then lost to New England. So they won a total of 12 games in 2017. Since then, they are 15-50.
Oh God! Wow! Wow! Talk about I told you, stat guru man over here. He's got him. That's something else. I didn't even know that.
Yeah,
I had
15-50, and they've won 4 games the last 2 years. Oh, they had, what was it, the 20-game losing streak?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
Something.
Yeah. I mean, listen, if you want to be in the same conversation with the Buccaneers, you want to be talking Super Bowl, not 26 straight losses.
Right.
Not the orange sickle uniform. But
that's right.
Yeah, really.
Leroy Selman and John McKay. And what do you think?
Yeah, let's just expand.
What do you think of your team's execution? I'm in favor of it. That's an actual quote from John McKay.
That's great. Yeah, I've heard that actually. That's it's wonderful. I love it. All right, we'll see what happens to Jacksonville. Nikki, you got some more?
I do. Just kind of want to get your thoughts on Russell
What
Wilson.
I want for my birthday?
Yeah. Your list. No, Russell Wilson going to Denver. Just kind of thoughts now on that division, what that team's going to look like this year. You love it, you hate it, like it.
Well, for Russell Wilson's sakes, I hope he doesn't get sacked 40 more times. Listen, he has taken a beating. Some of it is his own doing, and some of it is the offensive line statement. Now they have a pretty respectable offensive line now in Denver. They could use a little more help. They've actually added to that. They are now the darling everybody's focusing on. But I'd like to remind people they haven't been in the playoffs since they won the Super Bowl.
That's right.
That was their last playoff appearance. You have to go back to like the early days of the franchise, the last time the Broncos had 5 straight losing seasons. So, again, there's a last place team. There'll be the vogue last place team for a lot of people to turn things around. Now, of course, turning things around in that division is a little tough because everybody else in the division had a winning record last year, and both the Chiefs and the Raiders wound up in the playoffs. He does a lot of special things. There's no doubt about it. They've got some excellent receivers. Dynamite rookie running back this year. Defensively, it's hard to beat what they were in the no-fly zone in 2015 and so on. And that it's kind of gotten away from them. And it's teams as players have moved on and so on, players get older. We talk about Von Miller, who, now with the Buffalo Bills after, winning a Super Bowl with the Rams, a couple of months ago. I think what I want to see, and listen, the Chargers have made a lot of interesting moves. Now they got Khalil Mack opposite of Joey Bosa, which kind of fills the void from a couple of years when Joey Bosa, Nikki, and Melvin Ingram were doing their thing, when Melvin Ingram was kind of in his prime and so on. So those bookends. Now the Raiders, remember the Raiders last year, they had Max Crosby, but they signed in Ngakoue from the Ravens.
Yeah.
He actually led the team in sacks, not Max Crosby. And defensively, the Raiders have been a disaster for over a decade. But now they bring in Chandler Jones, who is a machine, absolute machine when it comes to getting sacks. So, is that enough for Denver to offset, some of their other issues and so on? Again, let's see what happens in the draft. But it's funny. You look at the AFC West and the NFC West. In the AFC West, you had 3 losing teams and a 7-10 club. In the NFC West, you had 3 playoff teams, and a 7-10 club. Okay, so it was the whole division was pretty stacked, with the exception of, ironically, Denver and Seattle, the teams that were involved in the Russell Wilson trade. By the way, so I like the move for Denver. It shows aggressiveness, and their quarterback situation since Peyton Manning is starting to look like the Dolphins' quarterbacks situation since Dan Marino.
Wow.
Hopefully it doesn't last as long.
Brock Osweiler and
Trevor
Paxton
Simeon,
Lynch and Case Keenum, and they've gone through a slew of quarterbacks. And let's be honest, even the year that Broncos won the Super Bowl against the Panthers, that was not a quarterback-driven team.
Nope.
Peyton was hurt and he was on his last legs, and the second half of the Super Bowl against Carolina, he was a sitting duck.
That's it.
So they didn't win that because of him,
right,
and so on. So
Von Miller was the MVP. There you go.
Yeah, they've had a tough time replacing that position, and now we'll see what happens and so on. But again, I like the move because it's hard not to like Russell Wilson. I understand. I mean, last year he was very frustrated. When you're at a place for a long time and it seems like you're stuck in limbo, and I think that's what he thought, because the team was certainly headed in the wrong direction. And so, and remember, early in his career, I game manager is such an overused term, but he was part of a good running game with Marshawn Lynch, a pretty solid offensive line. If you're Russell Okung and James Carpenter and so on. So, and then they became so dependent on him. He started putting up these mind-boggling numbers. Okay, but those numbers don't do you any good if you're losing. Ask the Bills. Score 36 points at Arrowhead Stadium and lose 42-36. Okay, so hopefully for Denver, and Nathaniel Hackett's the new head coach, first time NFL head coach. So maybe Russell Wilson, they can work together. They can have some sort of cohesion and so on. But I mean, if you're Denver, you have to be excited because of some of the other moves as well.
For sure.
But you're in like I said, a loaded division. Yeah. Brandon Staley should be a better coach after 1 year. I think he spent the year out guessing himself, forget
it.
No. I mean,
no, I call them the Brandon Thaleys, because they should have been in the playoffs last year, Russell.
If you just look at some of the, they have this. They lose at home to the Vikings. They lose at home to New England. Who was playing good at the time. They lose at Denver. So radically inconsistent. And then Brandon Staley going for it on fourth down when it was second down. So many times, I just think he outthought himself at times, and certainly outthought himself in overtime against the Raiders. And that's a talented team. There's no question about it.
Very talented.
But they've got to get some. They were, by the way, there's another team who's bad against the run. Okay, you're not going to get away with that. Okay, that's why the Raiders ran the ball with Josh Jacobs on that play after the timeout, because they were gashing them all evening.
Exactly right. That's exactly right. Yeah, we talked about it all year. Just the Chargers, no run defense. Hey, Khalil Mack, he can not just sack the quarterback. He can get to the running back. D, before we get to your question, real quick, Mike Patton from the audience is just asking your real quick opinion where you think Tyrann Mathieu may end up now that they replaced him with who'd they get at safety? The Chiefs. Why am I missing his name? Who'd they just get the Chiefs at safety? Why am I forgetting off the top of my head? Yeah. I know they got his replacement, but yeah, I'm wondering where Tyrann Mathieu's going to go. I got to find out where he went. How come I don't know where he went? Oh my God. I know they just got somebody to replace him. I'm sorry, guys. I don't remember off the top of my head, but Tyrann Mathieu, he's probably the number one guy in the secondary, if you want to call it out there, maybe next to Stephon Gilmore. What do you think happens?
Were you asking about the Chiefs?
Yeah, the Chiefs. Yeah.
Oh, they got Justin Reed from Houston.
Thank you, Justin Reed. Thank you very much. Thank you. So, yes, we have one of our listeners, Mike, asking where you think Tyrann Mathieu may go now.
Oof. Well, he's one of those guys you would think would have been scooped up by now.
Me too.
Okay. he has made an impact on all three franchises that he's played for. Okay. Obviously with Arizona, short stint in Houston, but still,
Right.
he's one of those football magnets. He's always around the ball. Okay. And he doesn't put up these extraordinary numbers, but he's just a flat out solid football player. Okay.
Sure
now, I
is.
don't know if he's asking for a certain price or anything like that, but you think about teams who need a safety and they're, take your pick. Okay. To me, Baltimore would have been a good pick, but now that they have, what's his name from the Saints.
Marcus
Okay.
Williams.
Now
Marcus
hopefully
Williams.
their secondary gets straightened out. They were killed with injuries last year. Okay. But I mean, now Baltimore's kind of rebounded. You just said, we mentioned Kansas City is the replacement and so on. Marcus Williams, who unfortunately is probably known for one play and one play only, but he's still a hell of a player. So
Yes.
I don't know. That's tough because the other thing that's still going on, even though teams are quote unquote under the cap right now, is you're still seeing teams get released or players get released.
Yeah.
So is that going
Right.
to open the door for somebody to upgrade? So I mean, you see some of the poor defensive teams in the league, and you wonder, Atlanta, okay, who has been horrendous on defense, and they have no pass rush whatsoever. They had 18 sacks last year, the Falcons.
Oh.
Okay, that was only a half a sack less than Robert Quinn, and 4.5 sacks less than T.J. Watt. Okay?
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
But he's one of those guys who can obviously help a lot of teams. So then you just start looking at connections and so on. But again, I'm a little surprised, and I don't know if it's an asking price or he's just kind of taking his time as to what he's going to do and so on. But obviously the Chiefs are not bringing him back,
Right.
with making the Justin Reed move. So again, I wish I had a better answer. And,
Yeah.
We're at that stage right now, obviously with free agency just starting, that once I pop off the air here, within 20 minutes, he's probably signed with somebody. You never
Of
know.
course. Right.
That's what happens. I mean, just as you know, as we were just coming on the air, we saw the Von Miller news and we saw the O.J. Howard news.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Just like that. Yep. Got real lucky. I'm right. Deshaun Watson is going to sign 1 minute after the show, D. I know it.
Yeah, that's usually how it happens.
Yeah.
I'm out here in Arizona. Do you see the Cardinals doing anything fantasy wise, or what do you think they will do in the draft to try to improve the team? For me, I'm not a fan of Kingsbury as a coach. I think he's the main reason they've fallen short the past couple of years, along with some injuries, of course. But what do you see them doing to try to get over that hump that they've been stuck on the last few years?
The Cardinals need to draft Mariano Rivera. Okay.
They need a closer. They need a closer for sure. Yeah.
They need a closer. Okay.
That's great.
Either that or a good real estate agent. All right. So how about Alec Baldwin from Glengarry Glen Ross? Always be closing. Okay. But listen, the facts are the facts. 6-3 in 2020, 8-8 missed the playoffs. Okay. Last year, 7-0, didn't win the division. Okay. Made the playoffs for the first time since 2015. They also have to find a way to trade Sean McVay out of the NFC West and maybe to the XFL or USFL. Okay.
Something, please.
I want to say, but McVay's been there, 5 years?
Yeah.
And I want to say he is 10-1 against the Cardinals.
Oh,
Yeah, I think something like that. Yep. Right.
Yeah,
Except
sounds
he
right.
sounds like he's the 49ers, but he beats the Cardinals. Yeah.
No, well, I mean, that, what that reminds me of, Jason? The old NFC East in the late 80s, when Bill Parcells could always beat Joe Gibbs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bill Parcells couldn't beat Buddy Ryan, but Joe Gibbs could beat Buddy Ryan.
Very interesting.
Right.
Very interesting.
No, it's two
Right.
Hall of Fame coaches and a guy who, made his mark as an assistant. Remember, he was part of the Jets when the Jets defensive staff when they won Super Bowl III. So Buddy Ryan was a good coach, on the Hall of Fame coach, but good coach. But it's styles, it's matchups, and so on. And could you imagine if the Niners would have pulled it off? I mean, they were up 10 in the NFC title game. Okay, so, but I mean, it's styles, it's system, and so on. But I agree with Damian. I mean, the proof is in the pudding with the coach. Okay, I mean, at 7-0 last year, they looked as good as anyone. Not just because they were undefeated; it was the way they were beating teams.
Yeah.
Offense, defense, special teams. You know, I mean, Chandler Jones goes in week 1 and gets 5 sacks.
Yeah.
And now Chandler Jones is even with the team.
Amazing.
Sure.
Amazing. Now on the Raiders. Just crazy. Absolutely crazy.
I've seen it by, so to answer your question, I look at the Cardinals so far. They're all about a lot of people leaving. They haven't really, who they signed so far? Jeff Gladney, who was out of the league last year. He got in, trouble and then found not guilty with the Vikings for former first round cornerback. They haven't made a lot of moves and so on. And listen, Kyle Murray stirring the pot a little bit, a little frustration and so on. I will say this: it's one thing when Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers air their differences. It's another thing when you've been in the league 3 years and you air your differences.
Very true.
Great point. Great point. I love it. I can go so many different places with you right now. Do we got you for what? Maybe 5 more minutes or so?
What
Russell,
about 5 more minutes? Honolulu, is that okay?
Love this. Oh man, like I said, a million places I can go right now. I'm looking at my screen and there's so many different things. But all right, so Rodgers comes back, signs his deal, yada yada. Now we know it's 3 years, $150 million. But I thought a lot of that was contingent upon Davante Adams and him having their private conversation, saying, "I'm coming back. So are you. What's the holdup?" I know they wanted a franchise tag him, but why wouldn't Green Bay want to sign one of the best wide receivers in the league for a long-term deal?
Well, I think, and I read a report, which is funny, that the tag is what, 20.1 or something like that.
Yeah.
And
It's a lot.
I don't know if it's true because I didn't really see the source. Supposedly he turned down 23. Okay.
Right. I think Russell, because don't correct me if I'm wrong, Hopkins is the highest paid at 27 a year, and he wants to be the highest paid. So, I mean, wow, that's like quarterback money. Really? Come on.
Yeah.
No, quarterback money is obviously $50 million.
Yeah, right. I know. Yeah.
But Green Bay had a lot to do this offseason to get under the cap. They were way over, obviously.
Yes.
I be honest with you, give them credit. The fact that they were able to get Devondre Campbell re-signed, I thought was huge. Not surprised that Zadarius Smith was cut. He barely played last year because of an injury. So, and by the way, he returned to the Ravens today.
Yep. Yep. The team that signed him. That's right.
And they've got Rashawn Gary there. It kind of fills that gap anyway. And listen, Aaron Rodgers is a little polarizing. I get all that and so on. When they lose, he's to blame, MVP. I've heard of all and so on. And, but they need to get that done sooner than later, because this is not something that can necessarily just hang all summer and so on. So I don't know what they've told him behind the scenes. And by the way, I've seen some quotes attributed to Davante Adams on social media, which are apparently completely false. Okay. Because there's no attribution to them at all. Okay. I mean, did you quote him in his living room or something like that? I have no idea where these people are getting this stuff. And so, but I understand his frustration. I understand him coming out and saying, I'm not playing for the franchise tag. And listen, a guy of his caliber honestly shouldn't play for the franchise tag.
That's
okay.
Fair.
He shouldn't have a 1-year deal. Okay. He should let the guys, but all pro. He's been absolutely magnificent. And the plays he's made, the rapport him and Aaron Rodgers have, I think some people are trying to make it out that Aaron Rodgers hung him out to dry. And I don't think that's the case whatsoever. This is an organizational thing. This is an Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers doesn't control, the Packers and the salary cap. They're going to do what they usually do, except for that 1 year where Brian Gutekunst signed Preston Smith, Adrian Amos, Zadarius Smith, and Billy Turner. Okay. And they're like, wow, the Packers are spending money. They haven't spent that kind of money since.
Right.
And they had to cut Billy Turner loose, which I think is a very big loss for them because he can play guard and tackle. Right. Zadarius Smith wasn't a surprise, obviously. They redid Preston Smith's contract. Yep. So the Packers are going to rely on the draft, which is what they usually do. And for the most part, they do draft pretty well. They've got to get some other contracts done as well. But Devontae Adams is too good of a player to be left hanging out there on a 1-year deal. A 1-year deal for him is, for lack of a better word, almost insulting. Okay,
I agree.
We're talking about a flash in the pan player.
Right.
Okay, we're talking about a guy who has been battle tested and is a big reason that the quarterback he plays with has won the last 2 MVP awards.
Totally agree. 100% right on it. Right on it. Look, again, I think he's maybe the best wide receiver in the league. You want to go Hopkins, Cup, it doesn't matter. He's still up there and deserves the money. And yeah, he shouldn't be a 1-year guy. So I totally agree with you. And if they don't get him, if he sits out or goes to, I don't know what's going to, but that would be a disaster for Green Bay. We know that right off the bat. So
because they're still an offensively driven team. As much as they've tried to improve the defense the last couple of years, and I know what their rankings were this year, and I know they didn't give up an offensive touchdown to San Francisco and so on. But when push came to shove in that fourth quarter, the Niners were more physical than the Packers. Okay,
absolutely.
There's a finesse feel to Green Bay. Okay, they don't overpower you, and again, you look at their rankings and they're middle of the pack in terms of the run. And if you can't stop the run consistently, you're eventually going to be in trouble. I've seen Dalvin Cook light them up many times and so on. So, and they brought a new defensive coach, Joe Barry, and so on. So, they have the pass rush, they get the takeaways, but if you're not getting the takeaways, you've got to learn how to stop people. And I think there's too many teams in this league that rely on turnovers. And turnovers are, it's a bounce of the ball a lot of times. So there's a skill to it, but I have to go back and look. The last time any NFL team led the league in takeaways 2 years in a row.
Yeah, you're right, because like you said, it is a bounce of the ball type of thing. I mean, you can have as much skill over there, but really, I mean, Darius Leonard could punch it out, but yeah, it could fall right into the opposing team's hands again. So that makes a hell of a lot of sense.
A couple of years ago, Jason, that Russell Wilson fumbled 13 times. Okay? Guess how many he lost?
What, 1 maybe?
None,
really. Wow. That's like a knowledge with Nicky trivia question right there. That was pretty good. None. Really.
Like it.
I specialize in stats that have the name Russell in it. So
well, Russell, you did an unbelievable job. I thank you. We can't thank you enough for coming on and dropping this knowledge with us here. Free agency is crazy, and I know you're in the middle of all of it. Writing, you got millions of different places to be, but thank you for spending time with us, Russell. Really appreciate it. And can you tell us where you're going to be next? What you'll be looking out for?
Well, I'm probably going to go to bed in an hour.
Look out for that.
A million notifications.
Well, as you can tell, I'm pretty active on Twitter, so I'll be on Twitter a lot. And like I've been doing this, I've had a blast for the last hour. Jason, I hope you get your laundry done. I see you got your jersey hanging up in the back there. I guess it's drying or something like that.
I'm never washing it. That stays clean. I won't even wear the thing.
Listen, fan side at NFL Spin Zone, full press coverage is where Pro Football Guru is. Now, Bax Football Guru on Twitter. I have to get Julie in here, PFG Vibe. And Jules, what is her name? She got a new handle now. Jules in the Blue. I think it is. I'm failing my partner here right now. But if you follow me, and she has been really busy on Twitter. She's increased her followers a couple hundred in the last couple of days and so on.
Oh, wow.
And she writes with me. We collaborate on a bunch of stuff. And she's a Colts season ticket holder. So she's at the game. She does a lot of stuff. Very good at her craft. She's a great follow and so on. So, but, of course, you can't follow her if her partner can't remember what the hell her handle is. But I mean, and stuff. But if you go on my page, you'll find she just recently updated her handle.
Okay.
So
okay.
It's not rolling off my tongue right now.
I think I am following her, but if not, I'll make sure I am, and I'll make sure the rest of us are, without a doubt.
Yeah, she's great. She's dynamite. So, and you know me, I follow everybody back too.
Yes, you do. Yeah, you're good like that.
Well, because I think Twitter to me is a continuous conversation. I mean, there's stuff out there that's a little nutty and so on, but how goofy can you be in 280 characters? So,
all right, just go do your best to see what you get come thrown back at you. Oh my goodness,
right.
That's it. Russell Baxter, the guru, the football guru, here with us. Thank you so much. Go get that nap in there, that rest, and then whole free agency Twitter. Guys, make sure you check out Russell Baxter on Twitter. That's where you get a lot of the information like that. Russell, thank you again so much. We really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Nikki, I'm coming back on the show on midnight, September 3rd.
Let's do it. Wild party. Everybody join us.
That's right. It'll be a birthday celebration, no doubt.
Yeah, and it could be the last appearance we all make on video. So
next one will be from outer space. We'll see how things go. All right.
You guys take care, all right?
You too, Mr. Russell Baxter. Thank you. All right. The great Russell Baxter in the house with us on the 3rd and 3 podcast, breaking it down. Stats. You heard him. The man has stats, all right? He knows stuff, and it's not like he's got him in front of him. I mean, it's like off the top of his head. It's really amazing. So I'm really glad we got him in there. We had a lot to talk about with him. We probably could have gone for another, 12 hours, given all this free agency stuff. But, I mean, hey, it is what it is. And he made a lot of good points, guys. Chargers, getting Khalil Mack and J.C. Jackson, that whole division. Nikki talking about, Russell Wilson going to Denver. And they got my guy DJ Jones, which is killing me because he's such an unsung hero on our team. Then, of course, the Kansas City Chiefs. We'll see what they do. The Raiders are kind of messing around a little bit. I'm not sure, but guess who's back? Back again. Brady's back. Tell your friends. Okay, so he didn't retire. He never did. His dad's all pissed off, whatever's going on. So apparently he's going to play for the Bucs. But, I keep hearing things like he may not play for Tampa Bay, which is strange because I think he's still under contract for $25 million. But there are weird things going on. I'm hearing things that he may not actually be the quarterback for the Bucs, but all signs pointing toward that now. And that's why they get back, Ryan Jensen and, Godwin was tagged earlier, but Carlton Davis signed, and they got Shaq Mason to play guard. So it all seems like, that's the reason why, they're bringing Brady back, try to get as much of the band back together as you want. And they got a slot receiver today. I got to figure out who it is. I forgot. I thought they should have got Russell Gage. Thank you. Yes, right. I thought they should have got Jarvis Landry, but that's another story. So Tom Brady should be in Tampa, I think, right?
Yeah, everything points to him being in Tampa. He even said, I'm coming back to play in Tampa. So everything should go that way. I see, but anytime there, smoke like this where people are saying that maybe he wants to play at home, I don't know if you would welcome him to the 49ers.
Are you kidding me? Come on in. Let Trey Lance just sit one more year. Come on in, Tom. I'll give you my number 12. No problem.
But yeah, we can't get rid of him. We cannot get rid of this man. He will not go away.
No.
I've seen a lot of jokes about he spent some time with his kids and was like, no, I cannot do this.
Yeah. Those kids, yeah.
I gotta go ahead and go back to work. It's because normally this will happen in like June when training camp is getting ready to come around and you start smelling the grass again, and then it's like, okay, I'm ready to play. But for it to happen in March, we're not even close to getting back to playing football again. It makes you wonder, like, what happened where he realized, okay, I'm not done. Like, I definitely need to go back on this football field. So, but Tom Brady is somebody who's a legend. So and he's still playing well. So it's not like he was, playing bad. It wasn't like he was Big Ben. Like he wasn't, playing horrible last year. So
now when you lead the league in touchdowns and yards.
Yeah, exactly. So he's still playing well. So I welcome him back as a Saints fan. We beat him 4 out of 5 times. So I welcome the challenge. I welcome the challenge again.
All right. Well, there you go. And Nick, I know you must be thrilled because it gives you, again, Tom Brady to root for at least another year. And maybe he'll get his farewell tour like I was talking about finally.
I'm not mad at it. I don't mind looking at him for another year. I think we all know that at this point. Yeah, D, you put it in the chat, and I was like, no way, he's coming back. Did you guys see the joke that the MLB lockout lasted longer than
gosh, yeah.
Brady's retirement? So, yeah, hey, I mean, bring it on. I said he'll play till he's 45, so I still have that prediction right.
There you go. And in August, he turns 45. So as long as he takes at least one snap, you will be correct on that one. But yeah, I think, wow. So Aaron Rodgers, that probably pissed him the hell off. Not only Devontae Adams not signed yet, but now Brady's back right up in your grill. So now you got to deal with that freaking thing over there. We went over LA. We went over Mitch Trubisky, Amari Cooper to the Browns. Nikki, big deal, not a big deal, no matter who's the quarterback. What do you think?
Who cares?
Who cares? Yeah, that's right. Cowboys. I forgot what the hell.
They don't. But they don't. Oh, well, you know what? I'll save it for when we get to their draft pick, their draft needs. But
Okay.
if you don't have another one, I don't. What's Amari Cooper going to do? So
Fair enough. We talked about Damian him being an inconsistent player, but gosh, if Deshaun Watson gets over there, he will have a number one guy and maybe somebody who wants to play all the time for him. But yeah, they still need more. But I don't know. What do you think? Big deal to you, Cooper?
It's a good move. I think Cooper still has a lot left in the tank.
Right.
There's reports that him and Dak weren't getting along. Maybe that's why the production went down a little bit last year.
Okay.
So if he's able to get back to being a 1,000-yard guy, he is a true number one receiver. So you do need those guys. So I think it's a good move by Cleveland, but it doesn't move the needle in that division if Baltimore is healthy. If Cincinnati is still there, they're still third behind those teams.
Yeah. Okay. I'm with you on that one. I definitely agree. All right. Wow, the Jets have been making a lot of moves. I know that they're not going to be there for a little while, but CJ Uzomah, they got Jordan Whitehead from the Bucks. My man Laken Tomlinson goes over there. The Jets are that division, the AFC East guys, I think is going to be one of the best ones in 2 years from now. When you look at what the Jets could possibly be doing, and if Zach Wilson turns out to be what he is, Miami keeps adding players. We know the Bills, the Patriots. That could be a pretty good division, Nikki, for a while.
Yeah. I don't really care what the Jets are doing either.
It's about anything but the Giants right now. That's all. So, all right.
It's not even that. It's just like the Jets have so many needs and they have so far to go and just such a long road ahead of them that it's like, good, you should be. We said this. You're going to do it. You have the money. This is the year to do it. So they should be doing this. But I mean, I don't know. We'll see. Would they win 2 games last year?
Jets,
so maybe they win
3.
like 5. I just can't get thrilled about the Jets. I also have to hear it all the time living here. So,
Yeah, that's true. Well, I do like the fact that the teams who have money are spending it, like Miami, the Jets, the Jaguars, the Bengals, who shored up their offensive line. We kept talking about that, D, right? So who'd they go out and get? They got Alex Kappa from Tampa Bay again and Ted Karras. So they're doing things also to help their weaknesses.
Yeah, you gotta love that. You go to the Super Bowl and they're not, resting on their laurels. They're saying, okay, we know we have to improve here if we want to get back. And we talked about it, previously. That AFC is so stacked right now. You can't rest on your laurels. You can't just say, "Oh, we made the Super Bowl, so we'll be back. We have Joe Burrow. We have these skill possession guys. We'll be back." No, you got to improve. So Cincinnati fans should be happy about that. Yeah, no doubt. And Jesse Bates, they signed him back, another great thing. And like I said, the Dolphins trying to spend money. They got Cedric Wilson, who was really good wide receiver from the Cowboys last year. Maybe he didn't get as much attention because of CD and Amari, so I can understand that. But Chase Edmonds and Teddy B to back up Tua. So, again, there's going to be a lot more stuff going down. I'm trying to watch the TV as we're actually doing this to see if Deshaun Watson is going to get traded at some point before the show is over. But we'll see what happens. Guys, March Madness starts tomorrow, right? And the brackets are up. We have a lot of people who joined over at 3rd and 3. So we're ready to go. Did you guys pick out your bracket yet? Did you complete it?
No.
I did. I completed mine. Going with LSU to win the title.
Really?
And, yeah. So
aren't they like a 6 seed or something?
I'm gonna listen to you guys.
Okay, he's such a homer.
My bracket.
I'm definitely a homer. I'm going to win this. Okay.
You deserve it because you run the podcast league and you can't. And you ran the actual live podcast. Like, not only does he run the league, he actually ran our live broadcast for the draft. So I hope you win because you deserve it. That was really hard to do and incredibly distracting, I'm sure.
I appreciate that.
You can track.
No, I'm going to win because I'm a winner. Do I know anything about college basketball? Absolutely not. But I'm still going to win this. I got my system that I do. I'm normally very good at these brackets. I got a system. I can't let you guys in on the secret, though. After I win, I'll let you guys in on the secret of what my system is that I use.
All right. Okay. Well, I'm looking forward to it after you lose and I win the whole thing.
Your wife probably picks it, and that's why you do.
Yeah, you see. The less you know, the more you know. Honestly, the better it is. For real. I mean, I don't know anything about college basketball. All I know are the team names, and I don't even get half the nicknames right. But I got Auburn going. That's who I picked. I'm going to be looking over the bracketology and the pools over here, who everybody else got. But Auburn is a 2 seed, and from what I saw, it looked like their road was actually fairly decent. So Gonzaga's the number 1. I got them. I'm just going to give you my final 4 real quick. Gonzaga's the number 1. Baylor's the number 1. Then I got Tennessee as a 3 and Auburn as a 2, and Auburn coming out of the whole thing. So, I went a few upsets here and there, and everybody go check it out. Just go to thirdandthreepodcast.com, click on Let's Do This. If you still have time, get in there and get your team in. So there's still time. A prize will be given out to the winner. So I guess I'll be giving the prize to myself, and that'll save me on shipping. That'll save me a little bit of shipping. But all right. The winner is getting a gift card. It's not for Publix. It's not for Target. All right. It's a gift card for anything. So you can go wherever the hell you want to go, and we'll tell you how much it is in a little bit. All right. We don't need to tell everybody on air right now, but you'll be getting some skadosh from us. All right. So, you win, take that gift card, but send us a thank you card in the mail after that. We'd appreciate it. That'd be nice. All right. We'll see who Nikki gets with in her March Madness bracket over there. She's going to figure it out. It gets a little tricky, just like this segment gets a little tricky. Let's do it. Come on. I think it's very vital. Do chair dance. It's time. Here we go. It's tricky to rock around. That's right. On time is tricky. Tricky. It's tricky to rock around. That's right. On time is tricky. I love it. Chair Dance City! All right. D, the man, the chair dancing king of North and South America. I don't care where you go, as long as you're in
North and South America. Wow.
It is Knowledge with Nikki time. Tricky Nikki Gist in the house, ready to break it down and ready to beat us up. I think I got my first victory in a long time last week. I'll see if I can hold on again. But, Nikki, we're as ready as we could possibly be. What is the subject this week as I cue up Alex Trebek's Jeopardy music?
Well, before we get on to the subject, just a reminder that Knowledge with Nikki is brought to you by Reebok. So, guys, this week we have for you, friends and family, it's 40% off of your purchase and 50% off sale. You can get that exclusively on our website. So head over to thirdandthreepodcast.com and then go to the Reebok Friends and Family deal and get a bunch of gear. I plan to. That's really good.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Sneakers get dirty sometimes. You know what? Got to get a new pair. I said, get me 2 pairs. Yep. I can do some Nelly Nell in the house. All right. Knowledge with Nikki presented by Reebok. What do we got?
Come on, guys. It's St. Patrick's Day tomorrow.
Oh,
yeah.
I should have known. I should have guessed.
Known.
All right, St. Patty's Day. Happy St. Patty's Day to you. Let's get it on, Lassie. Which one goes first today?
I don't know.
You don't know? Okay, then
you went like
we're so bad at this. We can't remember anything that happened from the week before. Oh my God.
I'm
getting so old.
I go first this week.
Do you? Great.
Yeah, I think so.
Right. Let's do it.
Okay. All right, geez.
Steal some action over here.
In what? Wait, hold on. Yes, no, I'm right. Sorry. In what year did the color green officially become associated with St. Patrick's Day?
1955.
No.
Yeah, I'm going way earlier than that. I'm just trying to think when the hell St. Patty's Day started. I'm going to go. It's got to be something like in the 16th or 17th century. I'll go like 1725.
I'll give it to you. 1798. You at least got
1798? Right. No, I don't deserve that, Nikki. I don't deserve that. That was.
But you at least got like in the.
You got the century.
Half a point.
You got that part right.
Okay. Half a point. You got the century.
I'll take a half a point. All right, I deserve that. I'll take a half. All right, thank you.
Okay, D. Number 2, how many hours does the New York City St. Patrick's Day parade take?
I'm going to say,
I shouldn't be
trying to think of my history with parades being from New Orleans, but I'm pretty sure it's a lot different.
It's different.
So I'm going to say 3 hours.
Jay?
I'm going to go for. Is there any significance of St. Patty's Day? I'm going to say something really stupid right now. 17 hours.
No, D, I'll give it to you. 5 hours.
All right. I was going to say 6, but I was thinking like maybe it's Tricky Nicky 17, some weird crap like that. Oh, well.
Like it's an all-day parade.
Yeah, right.
All right, number 3. According to Hallmark, how many Americans exchange St. Patrick's Day cards each year?
Oh wow.
It's some math again now.
Day cards. Man.
By the way, I don't think I've ever received a St. Patrick's Day card. Like,
No, why?
is that a thing?
Yeah, I haven't either. But I don't think any of us are Irish either. So.
I'm half.
Oh, you have Irish? Okay.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go with 2 million.
No. Jay?
I'm trying to think like how many people are like. Is it in the say around the world or just the United States?
No, just Americans.
And I'll go like 30 million.
12 million. 12 million.
Okay.
Still,
I've never
that's
even seen a St. Patrick's Day card.
No,
I've never got one.
That's like,
I don't think I have.
that's a
That's
lot.
Literally just get drunk and drink beer and drink green.
Yeah,
beer.
right. That's it. Good green beer. Oh my goodness. All right.
Oh, well, speaking of beer, question number 4.
How about that? Look what I did.
How many pints of Guinness will be consumed worldwide on St. Patrick's Day?
Oh wow.
It's more math I have to do.
He said worldwide.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm trying to think if outside of the United States and Ireland, St. Patrick's Day like huge everywhere else. Because I feel like we just jacked it and made it our own, made it something
Made it
here.
our own thing.
I'm gonna go with, you said gallons or pints?
Pints.
I'm gonna say 50 million pints.
Okay.
50 million?
Yeah, that's what
Is
I
he-
said.
Oh, I'm sorry, Nikki. Did you answer? Is he right?
No.
Okay, because I was going to go way lower than that. I'm serious. I have to like carry the one right now. Give me 1 second. I'm not even
Oh
joking.
my God, what are we doing?
This is like a math question. All right. Hold on.
Just throw out a number.
15 million.
Yes. 13. 13.
Oh,
There. I'll give you the point. See, come on. Like, Jay, show
I was
your
doing the
work.
math. I thought I had it on the head. I was like, holy shit. All right. Okay, I'll take it.
I mean, you got close.
No, that's a really good guess right there.
Thank you.
All right, here we go. Jay, question 1 for you.
Oh, my turn.
Okay. How many cities in the United States are named Dublin?
It's a great. I like that question. I'll never get it right, but that's a fantastic question. How many
Okay.
cities named Dublin?
What's your
I'll
calculator?
say. All right. How many cities are named Dublin? I'll go with 130.
See?
You said in the United States? Or
Yep.
around the world?
Yep. United States.
I'm gonna go with 10.
I'll give it to you. 9.
Whoa!
Oh.
Nice. Well done, sir. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm shocked. I thought it would be a hell of a lot more than that. Very good.
Thank you,
Shoot,
sir.
I wasn't. What are we? 2.5 to 2?
Yeah, he's up 2 to 1.5, I guess.
Oh,
Yeah.
2 to 1.5. Okay. All right. Question number 3. What is the average number of drinks consumed per person on St. Patrick's Day?
Okay, so people average number of drinks consumed per person.
Per person on St. Patrick's Day.
How many drinks per person? God. 9.
D?
I'm going to say 4.
4.2.
Whoa! Wow. Nice job, bro.
Yeah, I was thinking
Very
about how
good.
much I drink, and I was like, I definitely drink more than the average person. Let me go down 2 or 3.
Wait, how many drinks do you have on average? Like, how much can you drink?
Well, back in my drinking days,
Mm.
like St. Patrick's Day, when I was in the Navy, we go take them back. It was like a good like 8 to 10 beers at least. Yeah.
Wow. At
See?
least.
See, at least I got
Go
D's
back.
number right. I got D. I said 9, 8 to 10. I got D's right. That's good.
Yeah, you got D's number right.
You got the military average for sure.
There we go. Maybe that's what I was thinking.
All right, number 3, Jay. How many pounds of green vegetable dye are now used to turn the Chicago River green?
Ooh.
Wow. How many pounds of green dye are now used to turn the Chicago River green? Why do you always use these math questions?
It's just
Start
funny
writing
you
down.
actually try
Let's
to-
say he's gonna start writing down stuff
I
again.
know. You like try to get your graphing calculator. I mean, what are we doing? Like,
It's serious. I don't know. I do a lot of math stuff, so I'm gonna go with 40 pounds.
D?
I'm going to say 200.
No, Jay, I'll give it to you. 60 pounds.
Oh.
Okay, I'll take it.
Moving
I'll
the
take
game along today. All right, you ready for
It all comes down to this one.
It all comes down to this one. And this
Here
is
we
the
go.
craziest one yet. Get your pen and paper because it is math.
Oh, God.
Okay. If I heard this, I would be like, F off. Like, okay, but here we go. What is the current market value of a leprechaun's pot of gold?
This is a real question.
It is real. And so the pot of gold would have 1,000 1-ounce gold coins.
Could you just say the question one more time? I know I'm not going to get it right, but I might as well just try. I'm not going to write anything down, I promise. I won't even do math. I'll just spit something out.
Okay, what is the current market value of a leprechaun's pot of gold, which contains 1,000 ounce gold coins? That may or may not be relevant to you. You could just toss a number out.
The market value, I mean, this is, Jesus Christ, $5 million. I have no idea.
D?
I'm gonna go with 500,000. I think those gold coins are a little flaky.
Yeah, you're closest without going over. 1 million.
Oh.
Okay.
Give me a point. All right.
All right. Knowledgeman Nikki, as tricky as freaking ever. She's making us use calculators now, for God's sake. Oh, my God. What is there left to do in this world?
I don't know, but I wrote that question in. I'm like, I would tell myself to F off. Like,
You know what? I got to say something. For as hard as those questions were, Damien, you got 3 right and I got 2.5 right. That's actually
wow,
not
you
bad.
guys. Wait a minute. See, is this has got to be the best week we've had.
By far. Because we
See,
knew
that's
shit.
okay.
That's why. Because we knew nothing. That's the reaon.
Well, you
Oh, my
often
goodness.
don't really know anything.
I usually get 0, and it's usually like 1.5 to 0 or something like that, or 2.5. Who the hell knows? I don't know. But Knowledge with Nikki, brought to you by Reebok. There it is, St. Patty's Day. Should have seen it coming. Should have studied, but what are you going to do? All
Do you
right.
ever study? Like, do you ever like
No.
go, oh, this shit is obscure. This might be on Knowledge with Nikki one day. Let me just take a look.
You're too tricky. And this was easy. I should have thought of this, but
Yeah.
no, today's the 16th, right?
I didn't even think St. Patrick's Day didn't even come to my mind for some reason this week. I don't know why.
If
Yeah,
I thought of it,
I looked yesterday.
I would have studied and pretend like I didn't. I would have done that shit. No clue. But anyway, let's bust down the AFC North needs real quick before we hit up Mount Playa. Let me see over here. Okay, we're doing okay on time. We're fine. All right, AFC North needs. Let's start with the team who went to the Super Bowl last year, but did not win it. The reason why they didn't win it, maybe because of that offensive line, like we just talked about. They shored up a few things already. So, Nikki, our offensive line before they made these moves, and I was kind of going over this the other day, that was number one for me. Then linebacker. Then still, I think they need help at cornerback, the Bengals. Obviously, they have a lot of firepower on offense. They're addressing the offensive line now. So what else do you see out of them that can help them not just get to the Super Bowl, but maybe win the whole damn thing this year.
But I mean, it is their offensive line. Like they really need to address that.
I agree.
You know, they have 31st picks, so they could probably grab a center, right, at 31, I think, which they do need. They need a right tackle. I mean, so they, you know, they don't have a ton of pieces that they have to fill in, but you know, enough that that made you lose a Super Bowl. So.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's 7 sacks in the Super Bowl, Damien. You know, so like we talked about it. You know, Ted Karras and Alex Kappa now joining the crew over there. But I would still, you know, look to definitely offensive line. You can never go wrong with defensive line either. But where are you at?
Yeah, no, they've addressed the offensive line, but they still can do more there. But also secondary. I think that you can do a little bit in the secondary. You don't want to be depending on Eli Apple.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why I say cornerback. I'm with you. Yeah.
So cornerback, offensive line would be the places I would address most.
All right. No doubt. Okay. I wanted to get to something to look something up, but I'll do it after. I wanted to get the draft order up, but no big deal right now. How about the Steelers, who made the playoffs last year, up, you know, to many of our surprise, with the tie? So ties do count. And moving forward, quarterback was definitely number one on my list, D, for them, but now they got Trubisky, so they're not going to go get a quarterback, or at least I don't think in the draft, unless it's maybe in the later rounds, possibly not in the first round. Other than that, they have been addressing their offensive line, like Russell was talking with us before. Still got to address that, and cornerback. So those are my top three. Or again, take cornerback out of it now for a minute, but keep going O-line and secondary for me. You know, Minkah Fitzpatrick can't do everything back there.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I would go secondary. You said linebacker? Because as far as we talked about it, Russell earlier, that run defense was atrocious last year. So I think linebacker help would be major for them.
No doubt. I totally agree right there. Yep. Linebacker makes, and that's like linebacker you know, and that's, you know, we're talking about college linebacker, but yeah, the Steelers, they were all about their linebackers, and, you know, they had to get rid of Bud Dupree. They kept Devin Bush. Yeah, you need people behind TJ Watt. Nikki, what do you think?
Yeah, I still think they need to address the quarterback situation. So, I mean, probably won't be this year, but I feel like if they like somebody even a little bit, do it, because it's not going to be Mitch Trubisky. And like, you're just delaying the inevitable, right? It's like it's probably somebody they like in 2023, and they're just, you know, going to see what happens this year.
And that's the thing, though. You can't wait and depend on what if we get this guy in 2023. You know, you have no idea what's going to happen between then and now, and who's going to be going after. I'm pretty sure everybody's going to be going after the quarterback from Alabama, Bryce Young. Mm-hmm. So everybody's going to want him. So you can't depend on if we get that guy. So if there's somebody this year they like at the 20th pick, they have pick number 20 in the first round, they can get somebody there who, you know, one of those, you know, it's a weak quarterback draft. But if you get somebody there who you think can be a developmental guy, go ahead and get him.
Yeah.
Now, the one I'm looking at, I'm looking at a CBS mock draft, Nikki, and it says that, I don't know if this came out before they got Trubisky the other day, but that they were going to get Sam Howell possibly, but I don't think they'll do that now.
I don't know. Depends on if they really think Trubisky's the guy. Trubisky is still young, so if they do believe in him, he can be that guy in the future, but do you truly believe in Trubisky enough to not address it? Because then you take a big risk.
Yeah, and it's not like they're spending a lot of money on him. I mean, it's 2 years, $14 million deal, Nikki. So, yeah, the Steelers. What do you think? And O-line still for the Steelers, Nikki, or what do you think?
Yeah, no, but I'm stuck on quarter. I should have addressed this 2 years ago.
Okay, so all right, so they don't get one this year though.
Stupid.
All right. So maybe Malik Willis.
Like you said, I mean, so you're just going to gamble on 2023 and hope it works out for you. I mean, I don't know. I think they're gonna. I think they're gonna regret not addressing this probably 2 years ago when we all said,
"Well, they already do regret." Yeah, they already regret it. There's no doubt. But on the other hand, what you're saying is like, okay, you don't want to wait till 2023, and I understand that. But if you're not. You just don't take somebody just because he's available.
No,
so
but if you like them in this draft,
if they do like somebody in this draft, then they should. If they really like somebody in this draft, they should go after him, no matter the fact that Trubisky is there. That's fine. Yeah. I totally agree with that. If they don't. find other quarterback. Look, we see things. Did anybody think last year at this time that Russell Wilson was going to be in Denver? No. So shit happens. Players get moved all over the place. So we'll see. We'll see. We don't know. But the Ravens, wow. Okay, so yeah, one of the few things I got right last year was them not making the playoffs. I'm pretty sure they will this year, though. They've made a few moves already. I still think they need help in the secondary. They just got rid of Justin Reed. They can use wide receiver help. Nicky, obviously, offensive line, defensive line. They can use help in a lot of places, but as your husband will not allow you to forget, obviously they were just banged up completely last year. So I expect them to come back in a big way, but what's going to help them out more than anything, Nick?
They need to address their right tackle position as well. When that team's like full back healthy, I'd like to see what they really can do. They just had a rough go right from the start, right? Just losing everybody like before even the season started. So, but yeah, I think, address that right tackle. And I really think they need to get some youth and depth in that secondary, which they're working on. So those would be my top two.
Yeah, D, I wanted to find another note if the Ravens have, if they could possibly get money to get, because they're going to lose Calais Campbell, maybe get Jadeveon Clowney or Melvin Ingram or something like that. That's, through free agency, maybe even Jerry Hughes or Justin Houston goes back there. But I don't know. What are your biggest needs for the Ravens right now?
Secondary and wide receiver. So I'll go skill positions on both sides.
I agree.
Defensive line, they can use Calais Campbell's getting older, so they might just let him go. He's my favorite name in the NFL, but he's getting up there, 34, I believe. I think they're going to go secondary. They've already addressed it with Marcus Williams and safety. He's a really good safety. Like Russell was saying earlier, he's known for the Minnesota Miracle, unfortunately, but he's a really good safety. And the price they paid for him, I think, wasn't too much. A lot of people were their eyebrows went up when they saw the number, but he's a good safety who they're going to have in his prime. So I think that was a really good pickup for them. So I think they still need secondary help, though, because even with Humphreys and Williams, you still need other help there. But wide receiver, get a true number one. They've still been waiting for that for some years now. Mark Andrews is amazing, but Hollywood Brown improved over last year, especially as far as his hands. He wasn't dropping as much, but I don't think he's number one. He's more of a slot guy, quick, fast. They need a true X receiver, if you will. So I think that's something they need to address.
I'm with you. Yeah, it does help to have a tight end who puts up numbers like a wide receiver. But yeah, we're talking about the secondary, and Derek Stingley Jr. is the player a lot of experts, quote unquote, have him going to. He's a cornerback out of LSU. Yeah, there you go. So I think that'd be a great spot. I think that'd be a perfect draft pick. Actually, I like that a lot. And the last team in the AFC North would be those Browns. My goodness. All right, so you guys know I've already said this, a few times already. I think Deshaun Watson would be perfect there. To me, that's their number one thing because Baker Mayfield is just not going to get the job done. So they need a quarterback, and maybe they like one in this year's draft. And who cares about Baker Mayfield's freaking feelings? I could give two shits. I mean, you want the best guy out there, so it is what it is. And if Baker is going to play on Cleveland this year and it doesn't work out with Watson, man up and then go get your next contract. Don't be like a little bitch and play. And I don't think he will. He's a gamer. He goes out there and he's tough. But I do think that they need a new quarterback. But also now that they're losing Jadeveon Clowney, you want to try to address the defensive line. They can definitely use it without a doubt another wide receiver, Damian. So I'm looking more offense than anything. They have a very good offensive line. That's one thing that they can hang their hat on.
Yeah, they definitely have a good old line. You mentioned defensive line, they can use help there, but I definitely would go wide receiver. Cooper, if you want Cooper to be successful, you need somebody else on the other side. So he's not getting doubled the whole time.
No doubt.
So I think wide receiver is where they should go.
And actually, Nicky, they're looking at that. This guy Drake London at a USC. I've actually heard good things about. He's 6'4". He's like 220 pounds. That might be a really good pick for them at number 13. What do you think?
Yeah, no, they should do that. They need an opposite, for Amari Cooper. I would do that. Or, I also put down that they do need some depth at the safety position. So,
okay.
Yeah, that's definitely fair. Yeah. Look, especially again, in this league, you can never run out of enough good corners or safeties and edge rushers and things like that. Just pile them up, man. And again, we have to remember, it's like, oh no, we're set at defensive line. We got these 4 players. Yeah, but you think all 4 players are going to play every fucking down the entire season? No, you got to have depth, Just have depth. When a TJ Watt goes out for 4 or 5 weeks straight, that screws up your defense big time. You got to make sure you got players back there, man. So yeah, you got to go for depth. If you have a great offensive line, get more guys. Make sure your quarterback is protected. Who cares? So shoot, I'm with you. All right. I mean, that was quick AFC North needs. Next week, we're going to do AFC South needs. So that's going to take like an hour and a half. We'll try to cut it down. Try to get that one down just a little bit over there. But yeah, so that's AFC North needs for now. But we got to do some Mount Player brought to you by Beer Drop, D.
Yes. So you've already heard about, you got your meat, you got your comfortable clothes and shoes at Reebok. What's better than sitting in your comfortable sweatsuit from Reebok, eating a steak? You also need your nice cold beer, and you don't have to go get it. So if you go to 3and3podcast.com, scroll down a little bit, hit the Beer Drop link. It will get you directly to the page where you get a nice price on beer delivered to you each and every month. They deliver, it could be 10 or more beers per month that they deliver to you. And it's all around the country. It could be anything from IPA, if that's your thing. If you like, beer like that, not my thing, but if you like IPAs, you can go ahead and do that. Wheat beers, you got everything you want there from Beer Drop. So go ahead and go to 3and3podcast.com, hit the Beer Drop link, and get that set up to you monthly. Don't have to go and get it. So you have your meat delivered to you, and the Reebok delivered to you, and the beer. You don't have to leave the house. What's better than that?
Beautiful. Beautiful. Well done, D. Well done, man. Way to wrap all three of them up. Right there. Way to wrap all three of them up. 3rd and 3. You get 3, and that's how we finish it, with 3. D, before you take us through this whole thing, let me ask you guys both really quickly, because 2 players pulled a Bill Belichick like he did on the Jets back in the day. J.D. McKissick was ready to sign with Buffalo, and he's like, I'm going back to Washington. And Randy Gregory had a deal signed with Dallas, and Nikki, you must be thrilled about this. And he's like, you know what? Screw you. I'm going to freaking Denver to go join DJ Jones and Russell Wilson and the rest of the crew. Nikki, your first thoughts about that? 2 players pulling Bill Belichickian moves in one day on teams. I found that really strange. That usually doesn't happen.
No, so I feel like that tells you a lot, right? Like, kind of tells you like all you need to know. I mean, I'm a actions speak louder than words type of person, and sometimes you don't need to say shit. It's just your actions, and I think you can infer all you need to, and it's kind of funny.
It really is. To me, even more, the Randy Gregory one flips me out, because we know how bad they wanted to keep him, and it's like he had this thing in the bag the whole time. It's like, yeah, I'm going to get you, motherfuckers. But I mean, for Dallas stood behind him through thick and thin, and a lot of thin. They really did stick behind him, and he did him dirty.
Yeah, it makes you wonder. I know they were saying some things about the wording in the contract. And, that's why certain terms that they use they say it's their standard contract terms that he didn't like and things like that. But it's also, why is it being reported when it's not official yet? That's a big thing. Like, why is it being reported that this signing has been done when no one has signed anything yet? And so I think that's something that needs to be addressed. Like, it's such a rush to be first. I'm so glad I'm not one of those guys who is an insider or someone who's reporting who wants to be first on things, because I just want to sit back, get this stuff right, and then give my opinion on what's, the actual news is. To be first on it. I couldn't handle the stress of that. So, and so that's my biggest takeaway is, like, who's reporting these things that haven't been done yet?
I love it. Yeah. Oh, man. All right. Well, D, bring us back to Mount Player. It's your show, bro.
Yeah, so this week on Mount Player, we're taking it back to school. So, what was your top 4 lunch snacks to have during your time at school? Why was it your top 4? Did you want to trade them? Did it just taste good? Was it something that filled you up? Why were these your top snacks? So we're going to start with Nikki. What was your number 4, your top 4 lunch snacks?
So speaking about like filling you up, right? I was always like, especially, as you get into high school, you may not like bring your lunch all the time, probably like buy lunch, but I always had to like run right to practice. So I felt like I needed something to fill me up. So I was super happy. Not that this is the healthiest thing to be filled up on, but if I saw one of those Kudos bars or the Quaker chewy chocolate chip oatmeal
Oh,
one, or
yeah.
like the variety pack. Like, well, I still eat them. So, I mean, I know it's not the healthiest granola bar, but in a pinch and you're just like really hungry, why not? But I was always happy to get like chewy granola bar, especially a Kudos bar, which is basically a candy bar. But, you felt sort of healthy with the granola.
Right, exactly. It's all about it's got granola in it. It's all good, no problem.
Frizzled in chocolate.
It was about to say it was filled with chocolate chips, but a little bit of granola made it feel like granola bar. No, those are really good, especially like you said, practice. Like I played basketball, so I always felt like I needed something before I went to practice just to make sure I wasn't super hungry during practice. Because you had lunch in the middle of the day and practice afterwards.
Oh.
And I would make that mistake of not eating. Oh man, I'd just be suffering at practice. So that was a big time for sure.
Oh, no doubt. Oh, we'd be throwing things in our mouth right before we'd have to go out there. It's like we have 3.5 hour practice to go, and it's like dinner's not going to be till 7:30 now. Like, no, this is not good.
You eat lunch at like 10 because in school, like lunch is at like 10:30.
Right. Like I had lunch fourth period was like 10:30.
Fourth period lunch was the worst. Oh my God, the absolute worst. And then I would be so hungry, and somehow I told you guys I ended up with gym always was my last period, and then I'd have to go to practice, and then I'd have to go to dance. So like that fourth period lunch killed me.
You needed that energy. You had to have that energy. No doubt. One year I was off 7th and 8th period, and I had lunch 4th or whatever, so I didn't give a shit. I was out of school like 1:15 or something like that. I'm like, let's go eat and do other things. Anyway, back to what we were talking about.
So what's your number 4, Jay?
My number 4, it's kind of cheesy. You guys remember these? They came in like packages like this, right? I think it might have been Ritz, but it had 4 tiny little crackers, and on the side that little cup of cheese where you dip and spread. I used to love that shit, man. I mean, I wasn't like the biggest candy, person in the whole world or whatever. But, and again, I bought my lunch most of the time, but I'm bringing it back, to elementary school. I'm like 8, 9, 10 years old or whatever. I loved those things. And anybody who had them, I was absolutely seeking out a trade for anything healthy in my lunchbox. I traded it immediately. Give me your junk food and you can have my healthy shit. So that'll be it. So that was my number 4, man. Little cheesy right there, but that's what I'm going with. Cheese and crackers.
Cheese and crackers is definitely a good staple right there to have in your lunchbox, especially when you were a kid, like elementary school. Yeah, there was nothing better than having the cheese, and especially like the stick.
Yeah, man, that red stick. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So I knew you were young, D, but I knew you weren't young enough where you wouldn't know what that meant. All right, so there we go.
I remember that for sure. So for my number 4, gotta go with fruit by the foot. Like having
good call.
Yeah, so I used to love it. Just first of all, it's you get this long snack to eat, and it has like something that you basically play with the whole time. Like as a kid, it was something that added to the factor of it being a good snack as well. And then the different flavors were pretty good. So fruit by the foot was always a staple of my lunch pack in elementary school for sure. So fruit by the foot, number 4 for me.
I dig that. I didn't even think of that one, but I'm not like so much of a fruit flavor lover, but I used to play with it more than I would use to eat. It's not what you're saying. It's good. You don't play with your food. You have to play with your food for a little while. Let me have a little fun before it's gone forever.
Nikki's funny because when I said long snack, I was thinking, oh, this is going to sound horrible. But yeah, that was it. So what you have at number 3, Nikki?
So this is more of a drink, but I was more of a drink. It is a drink. I would be so excited to get it though. Like a Snapple, a diet peach Snapple, like a lemon Snapple, because we didn't have it all the time. But when I would open my lunchbox and I'd see like a Snapple sitting there, oh my God, I'd be so excited. I just like, I don't know, for some reason, we would we'd have them at the school store and stuff, but I think that wasn't until high school. So in middle school, mom, dad go food shopping. But see, my problem is growing up with siblings and you have to share your snacks and your flavors. And if mom got the variety pack, then it was like, okay, so you get 2 of the lemon and then you get 2 of this and you get 2 of that. And, oh my gosh. But yeah, so I was always super excited to get a Snapple. And that's high trade value, right?
That's pretty good because not only that, but you get the Snapple fact under the cap. So you get like a 2-for-1 deal. Yeah, no doubt. Yeah. I'm with it. I like it.
Nah, for sure. Hey, what's your number 3, Jay?
My number 3, I could have went with like something. You guys know how much I love Hershey bars, so that's like my number 1 for everything. But I'm leaving it out of this contest
You
altogether.
got Hershey bars for lunch in your lunch?
Let me tell you something. I hear them. Okay, it's all right. I'm going to be 42 in a couple of months, but I knew where them Hershey bars were, and they knew I loved them. I went every morning before everybody got up, and I put that shit right on my fucking backpack as much as I could, as much as I possibly could. So Hershey bars were like always there. So that's
wow.
I love Hershey bars. I can eat one right now, no problem. You guys wouldn't even see it. I'd devour it in 2 seconds. But if I did have a big lunch, I would love me some watermelon Jolly Ranchers, man. I freaking love that, and especially watermelon. I like the apple, but the watermelon's my favorite flavor, man. Like, oh my God, I can have like 15 of those things in a row. And, it's not going to fill you up or anything, but it just tastes so damn good.
So with me, the Jolly Rancher, you're talking about the hard Jolly Ranchers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, I was like, oh, this takes too long.
That's the point. It's been there for a while. That's
something to chew real quick.
Yeah, like I was so impatient. I was like, this takes way too long for me to get to my next stop. But no, it was good flavor though, for sure. So yeah, I see why the Jolly Rancher was your number. That was number 3, right?
Yep.
So for my number 3, so this might be something that's exclusive to the South. I don't know if you guys had this up north. We had Candy Ladies. So like in your neighborhood,
Candy what?
Candy Ladies.
Oh yeah, sure, yeah.
No.
Oh, you guys had
What
Candy
the
Ladies?
hell's a candy lady?
I've had them down here actually.
So literally like a lady, or it could be a candy man, but somebody in your neighborhood who would have like their garage set up as like a little store. And they would have a bunch of stuff in there that you can go and get. So the candy lady literally lived right down the street from me. So
Nice.
In middle school, I would just, right before the bus came, I would always just go to the candy lady, get some stuff, and then go on the bus. So the candy lady sold everything. So I would always get a bag of Doritos with nacho cheese and jalapenos.
Oh, yep. That's Southern style. That's LSU right there, baby. Jalapenos.
Man. I used to love that so much. I would get it every day. This is in the morning too. Like horrible for my stomach to start off the day, but but I would get it before we got on the bus, and that was always my morning snack. And then like my first period teacher be like, "Why you always gotta use the bathroom?" This is what.
I hope she's listening.
That'd be hilarious if she is.
Oh man.
But yeah. So
was this so we can go smoke a cigarette with the guys outside? All right, it was because of the food.
Yeah, it definitely was because of the food. But it would be it'd be either like the fire Doritos. I'm trying to remember the exact flavor, but the nacho Doritos with nacho cheese jalapeno. So basically like nachos, but using Dorito chips instead. Would be my morning snack. My mom would give me $5 and wonder like why I was always using it. That was for what I was using it for. I would get that and a fruit by the foot and be on my way.
And no, that would mess me up in the morning, man. I wouldn't be able to handle it.
Oh my God. Breakfast of champions right there.
Yeah, really, right?
Wow.
Yeah, Wheaties. Jeez, Wheaties. You even make those anymore?
Sure.
Make Wheaties still?
Yeah, they still. I did. Actually, the Wheaties. I went to the grocery store the other day. They have so many different cereals now.
I know, bro. I know.
When was the last time you went down the cereal aisle? It's absolutely
crazy.
nuts.
Today, and it didn't stop. They actually had to keep it going outside into the freaking parking lot because multi-grain this, multi-grain that, different flavor. Yeah, now we get out of here. And now they're putting chocolate in every fucking cereal that ever existed.
Yeah.
Give me a break. Come on.
Yeah, it's crazy. I saw the other day that there's a Wendy's Frosty cereal.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I mean, geez.
Is that necessary? It's
I'll have
time
to
to eliminating things.
ripped.
No more choices, everybody. No more choice. Too many choices.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's way too many cereal choices. Like you mess around, go to like a Super Walmart or like one of the stores that have everything. Like the cereal aisle is bananas. I'm just trying to get to my Cinnamon Toast Crunch, and I can't even find it.
Just give me my frosted. I just need my Frosted Flakes, baby, and I'm great. That's all I need.
Oh my God.
I don't plan this stuff, Nikki. It just happens.
Right.
Yeah, I knew he was going to talk about cereal. I had that in the back of my head the whole time.
I am starving, so I'm thinking, oh yeah, a bowl of Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Like,
Yeah, that's good for
I'm
sure.
starving.
So
and
let's make you more hungry, Nikki. What's your number 2?
My number 2 is probably still my favorite snack today. Goldfish. Goldfish.
Oh, I love goldfish.
Yeah.
I love
Like
goldfish.
I have bags of them in my pantry. Like a 5-year-old is like, that's the snack I go towards. But I would be so excited, like open my lunch. Like I was like the turkey sandwich kid. Like I'm totally fine with turkey sandwich, goldfish, and like grapes. Like, oh man. But I would get that. I would see that little bag. Just make my day. Although
Yeah.
sometimes, mom, she'd have to she'd get the big container. You can get like the giant container of goldfish, and then she'd have to like ration it out for us. But
Oh, yeah, that's good because the small bag of goldfish is like shit. There was like 5 of them in
Yeah.
there. It's like, and they're gone. But now you see that commercial with that big ass dude. I forget his name. He's like 1 goldfish, 2 goldfish, 3 goldfish. You guys see that one?
Yeah.
I have more goldfish than you, goldfish.
Yeah, and he like stuffs his whole hand. He's like 7 feet tall, and he stuffs his whole
Right.
It's about Boban.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
But no, that's the goldfish is a good snack. And then it's also tradable because you don't have to give up all your goldfish. You can give just a few.
So
That's
good
that's
grasshopper.
goldfish. Yeah, a really good snack right there. And you trade snack days.
Yeah.
What's your number 2, Jay?
Well, throw it out. My number 2 is also a food that you can play with, but it tastes really good too. It's just a little thing, but you know what? It made me happy. Polio string cheese, man. Freaking break that bad boy out, rip that shit apart. I got more left. Let's rip off another one. I smack my friend in the face with that piece over there. It was fun, man. I used to love that. Oh yeah, definitely. Oh yeah. You rip
boys
off
are
a piece.
just weird. Like it seems like girls do not peel their polyester
Because you're not fun
hey,
like
bitch,
us.
and like hit her with cheese. Like
You're not fun. I know. I didn't say her. I wouldn't hit a girl with cheese.
No,
No.
I'm saying if it was 2 girls. Like,
Okay. I don't want anybody to think I'm hitting girls with cheese. That sounds way too weird to begin with. All right. No hitting girls with anything. But no, if my buddy was sitting next to me and I rip one off like a wham right there, right? And to me, that was better than actually eating it. It was just a lot of fun.
Well,
We
what
had a great time.
manual do boys get when they're born? Because it's got to have every sports fact known to man in the manual, and all the stupid shit that you guys do. I think is so funny, and
It's
girls are
great.
just like morons. Like really,
Yeah, you guys sitting there writing like you're like making like these like scrapbooks and everything. It's like you're so boring. Get out of here.
They're
Who's
making
making
those
I don't make
stupid little
scrapbooks.
things where they would go like this, and they're like,
Yeah, the origami thing or whatever. Yeah, right.
like,
1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, you're gonna live in a mansion with Judy and Wendy, and you're gonna have 14 dogs. It's like, get the hell out of here.
I was not that type of. I was not that girl. I didn't make
Uh,
that thing.
I know you weren't. You're on
it's
top
hard
of
for me to
the
picture you doing that for sure.
Yeah, no. I would just like crumble it up and like probably throw it across the room because I couldn't get those like perfect. Were they triangles? Whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's a really good number 2 right there, especially
Right.
the slapping in the face factor.
Oh yeah, that's oh yeah, wham, bop.
Oh man. So for my number 2, I used to love these. I don't know why I loved snacks that messed up my stomach so much, but hot pickles that came in like the bags
What?
Oh,
with like the juice in there. You ever had a hot pickle, Nikki?
No.
why? Me either, bro. I'm right now. I'm a little stunned and I'm a little queasy. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah, so like the regular dill pickles, but they would be like spicy. Oh man.
And hot.
Yeah.
Well, I gotta look this up.
Yeah.
I never heard of it.
It's like, is he lying to me right now?
No, I know he's not. I need a visual.
Yeah.
I don't think I
would,
want
like,
one. I'll just take
It
your
would
word.
come with like in a bag full of like juice. It sounds so horrible. There's so many
Ew.
innuendos with the hot pickle and the juice, but it was so good. It was so good, man. I would have it. And I would have it.
What after the Dorito?
I mean, yo, he said hot pickle and juice in the same sentence. I can't deal with it, man.
It's disgusting.
But
I love this show so
Were you able
much.
to pull up a picture of it, Nikki?
Well, I've seen many different things.
Oh my god.
So I don't remember.
okay. Hot pickle.
Yeah, I can't see it, but
Okay.
I don't remember like the exact
I'm gonna look.
brand of it. But it would come in a bag, and
Ew.
it was so good, man. So yes,
We'll look this up right now.
hot pickle and fruit by the foot. All my foods were suspect, but yes, it was something that was so good, man. So my number 2 was a hot pickle for sure.
I see
All
it
right.
comes in this little like pouch. Hold on, there's reviews on Walmart.com. Somebody says they would buy them again. These pickles are the best. Just the right amount of heat and a good crunch.
See?
Is it a Southern thing though? Is that like a Southern state
I
thing?
have no clue.
It might be a Southern thing. Like there's so many
I never
things
heard
I
of it.
learned once I
never heard
moved
of
from
it.
the South. That I learned was stuff that we just did. so much stuff. I would bring it up to other people. They're like, "What? Why would you do that?" But yeah, it's something I love to eat at school for sure.
I'm looking at one right now, real quick. It says bold, spicy. It's Vlasic Dills. Is that anywhere near what you would eat? The bold and spicy one? Would you eat that?
Yeah, it sounds like something I would have. Yeah.
I know what I'm getting ready for your birthday. Got an easy birthday present this year for D. Hot pickle juice.
Ew.
It was good, man. It was good. So that was my number 2. I'm glad I can show you guys something new. You guys got to try it. You guys got to try one.
I got to look at it first, then I'll see.
Yeah.
Well done.
So I don't know how they turned it from a dill pickle to a hot pickle. I have no idea, but it
Blows
works
my
out.
mind. How did they turn milk into cheese? I don't want to know. Just give it to me. All right.
So, Nikki, what's your number 1?
My number 1 is the shark bites, the great white shark bites, or gushers / gushers.
Oh, Gushers, yeah.
Man. And I mostly like them because when you're younger, you could really you could trade pogs for a bag of gushers or like a shark bite or something. Like that is high trade value right there. Plus, I love fruit snacks. They're my favorite thing in the entire world. But yeah, a bag of gushers would get you pretty far.
Yeah.
Okay,
sure.
there you go.
Like Gusher. Everything I'm saying sounds so bad, but the
I know,
way
right?
it would burst in your mouth like that. That's what made Gusher so good.
It's the candy people's fault. It's all their damn
the
fault.
candy
Naming these
lady.
crazy
And
names.
what? Speaking of stuff, what is this thing? People just set up shop in the garage. I never heard of this. I never heard of hot pickles.
Oh man,
Yeah, the hot pickle one got
nuts,
me.
man, because the candy lady would sell it cheaper than like the convenience store.
Yeah.
So you would go to her and get everything, and like I said, you get bonus stuff. Like that's the first place where I tried the nachos with the nacho cheese and the jalapenos. Even you would get like I started doing hot Cheetos with the nacho cheese and jalapenos. Like you could get it was so good, like so bad for my stomach, but so good.
Did you take your temperature afterward? You must have had like 105 fever or something like that. I mean, Jesus Christ. Wow.
Probably so. Like I love spicy food. And that's as spicy as you can get, right? The hot Cheetos with the nacho cheese. And there's fresh hot nacho cheese too. Like you can see the steam coming off the nacho cheese.
Oof.
Then you put the jalapenos on top. Oh,
Wow.
That's the best.
You are New Orleans all the way, baby. You really are.
So what's your number 1, Jay?
My number 1 by far of all time, and I don't know why they don't make it anymore. But I've searched far and wide. I've gone on the internet. I flew to Australia last week. They don't have it anywhere. It's gone. But Nabisco used to have ready-made s'mores. You had your 2 graham crackers, the Hershey, and the marshmallow, and it was not hot, obviously, out of the box. But the lunch lady, she loved me so much. So I said, "Could you please put this in the microwave?" She said, "Yes, of course I'll put it in the microwave for you." It would come out gooey, just like if you were at a freaking bonfire and you got the freaking marshmallows, roast them and everything. S'mores, man. All I had to do was put them in the microwave for about 20 seconds, and out came this unbelievable chocolatey, mushy, marshmallowy goodness, and it was unbelievable, and everybody wanted it, and you couldn't pay me enough money to take my s'mores away from me. They're my s'mores, not yours. That's it. S'mores are number 1, and it wouldn't have worked out as well again unless the lunch lady let me heat them up in the microwave. So that is number 1 by far, and I'll never forget it.
Oh, shout out to the lunch lady for letting you.
Yeah, no doubt.
See, I've
I
never
even
seen
remember her
that.
name,
I don't know.
Miss Betty. Miss Betty.
Miss
Thank
Betty.
you.
Shout out to Miss Betty. Now, I don't know if maybe that's just a little bit before my time. Was that like elementary school when you had this?
Did you have to do that? Did you have to go there and say that?
Wait, no,
Show
I
my
don't know.
age.
I don't know it either, Jay. What is it called?
They're literally s'mores that came in a package, and you just had to honestly put them in the microwave to heat it up.
It's by Nabisco.
I'm pretty sure it was a Nabisco, and I swear, man, I haven't seen this in probably 15 years.
Oh,
Why would you stop making something so great? That was my problem.
That
Like-
sounds awesome. Like I wish I could have that. Like that sounds
That's
awesome.
what I'm saying. You don't even have to go do all the damn work. You don't have to sit and roast this and twist and marsh. Just freaking put it in the microwave. You're all good to go. I don't know why they discontinued it. I don't know. Maybe it stunt my growth, or I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. I was at 5'9", and then like I started eating those, and I just stopped.
Oh man. Speaking of things being discontinued, I feel like in my youth, a bunch of things got stopped. Like I used to love Fruitopia drinks.
Oh, sure. I remember those.
Yeah. We had I remember we had a soda machine with Fruitopia. We had Surge. Remember Surge?
Yep.
All the drinks that obviously were bad for us. We would just after I ate my nachos with jalapenos and cheese.
God, oh my God.
and
go get a
hot
jolt.
pickles, I would get a Surge. It's amazing I'm alive right now.
Yeah,
Now that I'm thinking about it. But for my number one, this is one of my favorite snacks of all time, sour Skittles. I used to love sour Skittles so much. I don't know whether it was just about the sourness or what exactly it was, the little salt or whatever it was that was on the Skittles. I used to love everything about it. And then you could trade. Like I said, I like trading some of my snack, but not all of it. So if somebody wanted, some of my Skittles and I want some of their goldfish, I can give them a few Skittles for a few of their goldfish and still be good to go and have my sour Skittles. So my number one, I used to always love sour Skittles. So I would literally go to the K late in the morning, get the nachos, the hot pickle, and sour Skittles to go about my day. And
that's his meal. There you go.
Because my lunch was late. Like I didn't eat lunch till I remember in middle school. I didn't eat lunch till like 1 o'clock. So I would have those snacks throughout the day. But then I got to high school. My lunch was like 10:30 in the morning, like you guys said. So it was a whole drastic change. But my high school was literally walking just from the house. So for lunch, we could go off campus. So I would go to the camp lady during my lunch break and go get the stuff.
The nachos? What? I mean,
yeah. So that's when I would go and get the nachos. So it was better in high school because I got it during a decent time where it wasn't first thing in the morning. So my stomach got adjusted by that point.
That's a little bit better.
So your mom, hold on. So your mom would give you $5 for the day, like for the week, and then you would just like each day.
Yeah, so it would be like $20 for the week.
Yeah.
So I would spend like $5 a day, or like maybe $4 a day probably, because it was really cheap. Like the nachos, she didn't really charge you that. She didn't charge you any extra for the nacho cheese. So once I learned that, I was like, oh, I can just get nacho cheese on it, because she would have regular nachos. But most people, once we learned that, we was like, oh, let's try it with the Doritos. And we was like, oh, so we could get the nachos without spending nacho money? Oh, let's
The key thing about the snacks that you have for, when you're at lunch when you're a kid is setting the market value high immediately. Like if sour Skittles are your thing, be like, yo, you're going to have to give me double of your favorite in order to get mine. All right. And I need a first round draft pick next year, whatever your first round snack is, you got to set the market value high. That's why them s'mores, they cost money. You could not trade me food. It would have to be money. Otherwise, you're not getting it. Just market value, baby. You got to understand. That's what it's all about.
Man, we got to find these s'mores, man. I'm jealous. I never had like a portable s'mores. Yeah.
So convenient. Microwave, bam, 20 seconds, 25, whatever. We're all freaking done. I don't know.
If I find the s'mores, I'll ship them to you, Jay, for sure.
Please do. I'll send you anything you want. That's how much I love them.
I just want a case of hot pickles. You see,
that's that market value. That's where that comes in.
I'm waiting for when D comes up this way this summer to New York.
Yes.
The bagel, please. You have to just try it and let me know.
Yes. When we come up there, you got to take us to your favorite bagel shop. Yeah, for sure. So we can have the bagels. I've been hearing about it for 2 years now. I gotta have the bagels when I get up there for sure.
And the pizza. Don't forget the pizza.
Yes.
And the pizza, you fold it and you eat it like that. All right. Nobody's using a freaking fork and a knife and all that bullshit. You freaking fold up pizza in the mouth. Let's go. That's it. End of story.
And pizza sounds good. Everything we just talked about.
Yeah, I know.
Starving.
I ate right before the show. I was full. I'm ready to go. Give me some s'mores, man. Give me some sour Skittles, Fruit Loops, all that shit. Polio string cheese, I think I actually have in the kitchen. So I might go smack somebody in the head with that next across the street. That'll be fun. Yeah, I might. I mean, you know me now for a long enough time, so I'm capable of doing things like that. But I won't. Neighbors, I'm going to stay here and watch Free Agent Frenzy. Anyway, we had a lot of free agent craziness going on today. Russell Baxter was in the house. We had the Reebok action for you, Meatworks, Beer Drop. crazy friggin' snacks that we eat, all sorts of stuff. And we know that Damien just ruined his stomach every day before school. I mean, just destroyed himself. And thank God you are here. It is a miracle, honestly. It really
It's amazing. Now that I think about all the stuff that I ate and drunk that got recalled or discontinued.
Right?
It's amazing.
Now we wonder why. Oh, we don't have to wonder why anymore.
Yeah.
But no, my man's on the Peloton, so he's all good right there. We're straight.
Yes.
Nick, what's going on in the reality world today?
Oh, today is Real Housewives of Orange County. Last night was New Jersey. Monday was Supersize Below Deck. If you watched it, let me know your thoughts.
Next time you say that, say it slower, by the way.
What?
Supersize. What you
Supersize.
said it really fast and it sounded like something else.
Oh, Supersize Below Deck.
It's been that type of show. It's been
It
that type
is.
of
It is
show.
that type of show.
Glad I'm not the only one who had all the words. All the
I know. Oh man, it's sometimes you just hard to talk for. Well, we talk all day at work, and then we come here, and not that this is like hard, but
No, this is easy.
the tongue gets twisted sometimes, and some things are unavoidable. Like the fruit by the foot being long is just unavoidable. So,
Right.
and gushers gushing.
yeah.
But yeah, no, you guys can find me at Nikki Nick 9384. Of course, reality TV is basically my life right now. But we're getting into free agency and the draft, so good things coming. And what else is going on? Oh, quick update on Eva. She got high platinum gold for her routine. She had her competition this weekend, and she also won the Perfect Pose Award. So,
oh, wow.
yes. So that was really cool. Probably going to do a follow-up article. And of course, the fundraiser is still going. She did get her bid to national. So again, $5, $10, $20. You can find it on our website, and it is pinned to my Twitter page.
That's beautiful. That is freaking fantastic. Excellent, excellent. That is Nikki's reality world. D, your reality is the NBA right now, man, right?
Yes, sir. I'm watching a lot of basketball, every day, and I'm tweeting about it. So basketball, boxing, you'll get my random Love is Blind thoughts. Have you finished Love is Blind, Nikki?
yes.
Okay, so
Okay, so we talk about.
Yeah, so
And I finished Euphoria, by the way, so we can't talk about it next time.
Okay, next episode, Love is Blind, Euphoria. We'll definitely talk about both.
We're bringing them in. I'm writing it down.
Yeah,
Please
on next
do.
week's episode for sure. So yeah, you can follow me at The Real Deal WDA on all social media platforms. Like I said, Twitter is where I'm most active, so that's where you're going to get the boxing, the basketball tweets. You get my tweets about random shows. Right now, actually starting to do more like content that is reactions towards content. So like Winning Time on HBO, which is the series about the Lakers from the 80s. If you're not watching that, Jay, you got to watch it.
No, I know. I'm with you, man. And you did an excellent job, by the way. I wanted to tell you that on air. Yeah, you did.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Very, 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 very good. Very good.
Thank you. So yeah, I did an episode earlier this week where I recapped the first 2 episodes of Winning Time, The Rise of the Lakers Dynasty, which is on HBO right now. If you are a fan of sports, especially somebody like Jay, I know would like, because it's in the 80s. It's definitely
I know.
First point.
Gray hair. All good.
No, it's an awesome series, man. And I definitely, I was nervous about doing that because it was my first time like doing something where it was about like TV content in that type of way. So it was like, okay, I wonder how people are going to receive it. So I'm glad that people have responded to it well. So I'm going to continue. I'm going to continue to do those on the podcast. Of course, I'm doing my series now where I'm getting guests on to talk about their divisions in football as well. So a little bit like how we did today with the AFC North. We're doing that on my podcast as well. Definitely want to have you guys on, talk about the NFC East, NFC West, of course. So I'll be calling you guys about that for sure. But yeah, my podcast is called The Real Deal with Damian Adams. Go ahead, subscribe to it now. Like I always say, man, got to keep that good content in your life. It keeps your cholesterol down, keeps your blood pressure at a good level. So go ahead and do that after you finish listening to us. Subscribe to The Real Deal with Damian Adams. And you can catch all of our work at thirdand3podcast.com. Just put a new article up today called The Deshaun Dilemma.
Yes.
Nikki enjoyed it for different reasons than everybody else enjoyed it.
Yep.
But I think that it's a very honest article about my feelings about the Deshaun Watson situation. So go ahead and check that out, please. But the Real Deal WDA is where you can catch everything that I do, and you'll be able to find me there.
You know, bro, we need more honesty like that. You know, I'm not going to give away what you said because I want people to go read it, but you were completely honest and you admitted you were being honest and you were saying, well, what do you think about that? Basically, you know, again, I don't want to give away anything, but it was a great job. It was a great job. And yeah, more people are just going to go, you know, write puff pieces and things like that. But no, man, you wrote from the mind and from the heart. So I love that. I thought it was an absolutely great job. All right, I may be the king of intros, but I suck at outros. Nikki and Damien beat me every time. I'm the stupid sports prophet on Twitter and Facebook. It's my regular name, Jason Fearman. I don't do a whole bunch. I don't dance on TikTok. I don't do challenges. I'm pretty freaking boring. You know, you go to work, have some spaghetti and meatballs or a steak from Meatworks, and, you know, you're good to go. You know, that's pretty much it. So, or if you want to, you know, go for a run, get some Reebok on you, and, you know, then Friday night, get yourself some cold drink, beer, drop the shit out of that motherfucker. So Fearman is here. He's going nowhere. He's with brother and sister. As always, I love you guys. Thank you again to Russell Baxter for coming on and dropping a hell of a lot of knowledge. We do appreciate that.
So much knowledge, man. So much knowledge.
Yeah. Oh, he's got a lot. It's really, I don't know how he does that. Like, his brain must be formulated a different way. I don't know how you remember all that stuff, but man, we've had some great guests lately. You know, Richmond Webb came on. Ron Davenport was great. Who knows who will be here next week, but we'll tell you about it next time. For now, 3rd and 3 podcast. We are out. Nikki, show them the wave, girl.